Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. For today's midweek meta deck, we are playing fredmcfred's Yorion Beanstalk deck that they took to win a challenge. Yep, not all the challenges this weekend were won by Blue Black Reanimator, so we get to play something really spicy and interesting looking. Let's have a quick check-in with what the meta looks like, since this is our midweek meta deck slot of the week. As you can see, this is just the data from the last week. Blue Black Reanimator, 20% of the overall meta, 35% of the top 8 share. That's quite a big disparity. We also have 14 top 8s, the second being only 4, and it had 2 event wins out of the 5 events. So that's 2 weeks in a row it's had 40% of the event wins. But that's enough of Blue Black Reanimator. Let's talk about this sweet Yorion deck. So Beanstalk is kind of a known quantity, but this has got some spicy stuff going on because we're leaning much more heavily into the enchantment sort of sub-theme. We've even got Serra's Sanctum here. So Up the Beanstalk is obviously an enchantment itself, and it wants you to play cards that cost 5 or more, and we're trying to play cards that cost 5 or more that we don't actually spend 5 or more mana on. So we have Leyline Binding, which will reduce the cost for it. It'll be 1 or 2 mana most of the time. Force of Will, it'll be free. Solitude will be free. Forth Eorlingas we can pump a bunch of mana into and get the card draw. We have Lorien Revealed, which is going to be a cycler early on, and then it can be a massive draw spell with a Beanstalk later on. But into the enchantment sub-theme we've sort of got running here. We've got a couple of ground seal. This shuts down the graveyard decks, because Oops or spells, they don't get to reanimate their Thassa's Oracle. They also don't get to Memory's Journey, so they can make a bunch of tokens with like their Poxwalkers and Bridge from Below and stuff. But they're still going to die when they go to their next turn, because they're not going to be able to Memory's Journey anything back from their graveyard, unless the Memory's Journey is in their hand. We've got Dress Down, just really good against Urza Saga Constructs, which is often the downfall of some control decks, because that's a very difficult card to manage without Wastelands. We've got ourselves some Abundant Growth. This is just going to fix our mana and it cantrips. And we are a Yorion build, so when the Yorion comes in, we get cantrips off of our Ground Seal, we get cantrips off of the Beanstalk, we get cantrips off of our Abundant Growth, and we just go into the stratosphere with card advantage. So that's kind of the enchantment sub-theme here, and like I said, we're supporting it with the Serra Sanctum. We've got ourselves win conditions in the form of Uro and the Forth Eorlingas we mentioned. Phelia is here, which can then also blink our enchantments and draw us cards, so we are really on the value train here. Removal-wise, aside from the Leyline Bindings, we've got Source Plowshares, obviously. We've got some Supreme Verdicts to sweep things out. These have been out of favour for a while, and I like seeing them in a control deck. I think it's a good spot for them right now. Obviously, I have Ponder and Brainstorm to move some cards around and get things going. And we have the One Ring as like the most busted card draw engine available right now. We also have the Solitude as removal, which I did mention earlier. Our mana base is quite a sight to behold. Look at all these different jewels. It's going to be a little bit tricky knowing which jewels to fetch at which times, because we only have like one of each of these jewels. We do have a couple of Surveil lands, so we're technically doubling up on the Tundras and the Trops, but we are trying to cast a blue-blue, green-green spell in the mix here, as well as like white-white-blue spell. So I think there's going to be a little bit of tripping over our own feet sometimes, but we even have basics to play on here, which is kind of wild. We've got the Bant basics in the mana base, and just a couple of Boseijus to round things out as well. Mystic Sanctuary seems relatively doable to get this working, but it's not going to be a thing that we're getting cards back on turn 4 very often, because, you know, we've got things like Taiga, Plains, Snow-Covered Forest, Savannah, Serra Sanctum. There's quite a lot of stuff that's not going to work with the Sanctuary. But in the really late game, when we've got like 7 lands or whatever, we should be able to get this popping off. Otherwise, we have Carpet Flowers. We're relatively mana hungry. We're always going to have plays to make because we're going to be drawing so many cards. So this is really good against the blue decks that are trying to like hit you with Wastelands and Days and stuff like that, like Delver. We've got some counter magic in the form of Force of Negation, Hydroblast and Pyroblast for various different spells. We've got our Force of Vigors for all the artifacts and enchantments we want to blow up, another Ground Seal for more graveyard hate, and obviously the Yorion, which is taking up a sideboard slot, but is obviously going to be very good here because we're going to be able to blink a whole bunch of things. And that is fredmcfred's really interesting looking deck. I'm excited to put this one down. It's been a while since we played like a slow grinding control deck on the channel, so let's see how we fare. I suspect we're going to draw many, many cards. And if you need to get yourself some of these sweet cards like Ground Seals that you might not have in your collection, high-end stuff like Serra Sanctum, check out 3-for-1 Trading. Their link is in my description. Alright, let's jam some Yorion Beans. For the best Eternal experience this summer, check out Eternal Mania in Hasselt, Belgium from August 8th to 10th. Aside from hosting the European Legacy Masters, they have a whole host of other tournaments from Team Trios to Old School and Pre-Modern. I will be there playing Legacy and hanging out as a special guest. This will also be the first event that I'll be giving out my own special Marit Lage tokens, so why not come down to enjoy an awesome weekend ran by one of the best TOs in Europe. Okay, what is our opener doing here? We've got some mana going on. We've got some removal. It's a little bit costly to use this removal because it's going to cost us cards for the Solitudes. I think this is fine. I don't think we're like trying to mulligan to Force of Will with our Yorion deck. We just want to be able to play the game. As long as we can make land drops, we'll be okay. We got a Swamp and we got a Thoughtseize. Sure. Our hand is pretty redundant. I think it's the Phelia or the Lorien Revealed that are the picks here. We will have to make a decision about if we want to play around Wasteland. Because if they take the Lorien Revealed, then we can't play on basics. But now we can if we want to. Okay, there's a source to Plowshares there. That's fine. I think we play the Windswept Heath. We can go and get a Surveil land, or we can go and get a land to plow if we need to in the end step. Okay, our opponent looks like they might be on the blue-black train here. I think I'm just going to Surveil land here. So we probably want a Trop, and then we kind of relatively secure in our main colours. Oh, sorry, I meant to get Hedge Maze there, not the Trop. Okay, we're going to cycle this Lorien Revealed as well at end step. So what do we need here? We could just go and get Surveil land now. Yeah, I like getting a Hedge Maze here. So we're kind of doing a very similar thing to what we did a minute ago, but just sort of the other way around. I think we play out the snow-covered plains, and we just pass this way. We can source Plowshares around a daze. We can also hold up Dress Down, if that's the thing that we really want to try and do. Okay, so the Entomb is coming down. We have an option here to try and Dress Down, and that plays into daze a little bit. Or we can just try and plow it. I think we just Dress Down in response to their reanimation spell. If they have it, they might not have it though. We certainly don't look like a reanimation deck, so I'm not expecting our opponent to keep their stuff out of their graveyard in case we interact with it. Whereas if we were a black deck, like an openly black deck, then our opponent wouldn't necessarily want to do that. Okay, I don't think it's worth cycling this Dress Down. We can just carry on with our turn. Keep making our various land drops. Do I want to play Beanstalk this turn? I don't think so, for the same reason that we didn't play the Hedge Maze last turn. We just want to have these options available to us. An Abundant Growth. It's a cantrip. Is it good enough for what we're doing right now? I don't really want to have to spend my mana just to get another card deeper. Our mana base is relatively fine now. I'm just going to put this in the graveyard. Again, we can hold this Dress Down, or we can hold this Plow around daze. If our opponent's not doing anything, we can just sit each other for a bit. If we just keep staring at each other and making land drops, that probably benefits us, because our deck is about the late game, whereas our opponent is more explosive. Alright, pretty happy to see that one. Let's get this Beanstalk in. So we have Cantripping Force of Will available. Would you like to fight over this one? They would. Would I like to fight over this one? No, I don't think so. We'll just take a 2-for-1 on that one. Our deck is just absolutely jam-packed with card advantage. The one thing we don't want to happen is getting bodied by a reanimation effect. Killing our opponent's creatures shouldn't be too difficult with our hand, though. It's going to be an Animate Dead. A Murktide Regent. Sure. We will just plow this in our turn. We don't need to play into daze here. Right, we have another land. Always happy to see those. Let's fire in with a source to Plowshares. And we'll just continue on our merry way. We can go and get our other Surveil land. We're not really going into our other colours, so the Leyline Binding isn't that cheap. Let's take a quick look at our mana base. We don't have like an interesting jeweler. We could just go and get something to make our Leyline Binding cheaper though. A Brainstorm from our opponent. At the moment, our Leyline Binding costs 3 mana, but we can make it cost 2 if we go and fetch like an Underground Sea or something. But I kind of just like Meticulous Archiving here. I'm very happy to play this game at a slow, measured pace. Another Force of Will. Yep, sure, I'll take that. Have Force of Will and Dress Down and Plow. Like, our opponent's going to struggle to put together the combo here, and their regular creatures are going to eat it to our removal spells anyway. They might just be waiting until they can try and get their way towards some hand disruption and get Thoughtseize going. Because that would obviously be pretty good into our hand, because it'd be a nice little 1-for-1 trade, and they can try and work out a way to play through this. But our hand is pretty redundant. We've got 3 removal spells and 2 counter spells. So they can only take a removal spell or a counter spell. They could take like the Dress Down, because at least it cantrips. But then they still have to get through the forces. We might be hard casting forces soon. Alright, a Ponder. I will ponder our way through here. We can certainly deal with an Orcish Bowmasters if one hits the table here. A Ponder, a Brainstorm, a Solitude. My Ponder ends up looking at 1 more card down. I think that's fine. Let's Ponder. Let's have another look. since we know there's no Bowmaster here. A ground seal. That is a useful one, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to leave that second. I'm going to leave that on top and then put the Brainstorm into hand so we have double force of will. And then once we check the box with the ground seal, we don't have to worry about the reanimation plan that much. And also, ground seal will cantrip us through. It's just going to be another Murktide. It is a Murktide. Sure. That's fine. We don't need to interact with that just yet. We can wait till our turn. Deploy this ground seal. They know we've got these Solitudes kicking around. I will fight over this ground seal. Alright. Just get a card here. We can just Solitude, pitching Solitude here. We can pay around Daisies. Just wipe this little Murktide. Obviously, our opponent's gaining lots of life. Our deck is not trying to win the game quickly. We're trying to win the game inevitably. So we're just going to be hanging back, playing that control game. Not a thing you get to do that often in Legacy, so it's quite a nice experience today so far. I played in a pre-modern tournament. For me, when I'm recording this, it was yesterday, and it was just really nice to play a nice, slower-paced game where lots of decisions matter, but over the course of many turns. Petty Theft on the ground seal. Sure. I can redraw some cards with that in a bit. That's fine. If you want to reanimate. I'm going to say no to this. There we go, Brainstorm. You're going to fight back with a Force? Sure. I will fight back with a Force here. And now we get to redraw off the ground seal. We've got Yorion we can put in hand soon. Alright, they've had enough. They've seen the writing on the wall. They value their clock and their time. And off we go. The best win condition of the control deck is annoying your opponents so they stop playing the game. So, Carpet Flowers, actively useful here. Ground Seal, also useful. And what I like about the Ground Seal is if our opponent's doing like the whole graveyard combo thing, we obviously catch them out. But if they're not, they're still just cantrips, and that's fine. Pyroblasts are playable here. I don't think we want Forced Negations though. Pyroblast kills Murktide Regent. They've shown us they're on Murktide Regent. They probably are on Tamiyo as well. Tamiyo can be an annoying thing for us to deal with. So there's potentially 8 cards I'm interested in here. What are we getting rid of? I think Abundant Growth kind of just gets swapped out for Carpets, right? Like, there is obviously the card draw attached to the Abundant Growth, but I don't think that's what we want here when our opponent's playing like 4 Wastelands. We have a bunch of removal. How much do we need in the way of win condition? Our opponent's already shown us that they're happy to scoop. So I'm certainly interested in leaning off of the Forth Eorlingas to get this ground seal in. And then it's a case of, do we want these Pyroblasts? Are they... Like, we have removal. Removal's not really the problem. This deals with a Tamiyo. So does the Leyline Binding. I don't think we can get rid of Force of Wills. We kind of have the card advantage to pull through that anyway. Phelia, how useful are you here? If we're boarding out the Abundant Growth, it's going to get us some easy card draw with a Phelia. Maybe we can trim down on a Phelia. Like, it's just going to be blinking ground seals at that point, isn't it? And Beanstalks, which is still fine. But would I rather just have more answers and just get going that way? Let's try this. Now, there is potentially a thing where we take out the One Rings because they are a 4-mana play against a Daze deck. But our opponent doesn't pressure our life total until they're like really pressuring, if that makes sense. It's not like a Delver deck where they're chipping you away constantly. I don't think we can keep a 1-lander that dies to Wasteland. Nope, can't keep this one either. Okay, this one is fine. So, I guess we get rid of the Leyline Bindings. We're not about that just yet. Is it Dress Down? This cantrips though, which is really nice to sort of help us out. I think it's probably the One Ring. Although the One Ring can kind of dig us out of this hole, but I think we're just best off having some reactive stuff. I'm not feeling great about this when we're on multi-5. Right, a turn 1 Tamiyo. Am I just going to plow this straight away into a Daze? We've got a Tundra here. So I don't think we're playing on basics now. This... So we can get... If we want a white source here, I guess we can just fire in the Tundra and just plow. And then that gives us the option of brainstorming and fixing our hand up potentially later. I think we just have to plow this and not mess around. If they have the Daze, it's annoying. If they don't, then that's obviously very good for us. Alright. If they're just going to play the passing game again. That favours us. I don't actually want to get this carpet flowers in just yet, do I? Although it's a very nice object to have, and our opponent doesn't interact with it very well. So I think we get the trop here. They're not going to have removal for this. They have like 1 engineering explosives in their entire deck. Alright, we're in with the carpet. I'm not going to make any mana from this time around. But we're in. This was like a nice window for us to play around a daze. If they entomb... Okay, it's just a Bowmasters. Sure, we can worry about that later. I'm not going to plow this into a daze. We've played around the daze with this carpet. They didn't have the daze for our first plow though. So maybe they didn't have it. The dress down can always shut off the Bowmasters and allow us to do some brainstorming as well. And we're going to have a lot of mana to work with next turn. So I would like to find some sort of card advantage. Like getting an Uro up and running might be pretty good. Marsh Flats. We're getting Thought Seized. We are getting Thought Seized. Okay, I think we fire off this plow on the Bowmasters then. Daze here is pretty good. Okay, they didn't have a daze. They're going to take our dress down. So they didn't really have anything, but we did mull to 5. Our opponent doesn't have a particularly strong clock right now. And we saw the Murktide rather than Bowmaster in the main, so I don't think they have a lot of graveyard stuff in. They've definitely gone back on that a little bit. Okay, so let's plant this land, let's plant this Beanstalk. Alright, we're in. What do we draw? A Supreme Verdict. Okay, let's crack this. Do we just get the Savannah to make it harder for them to take us off of colours? I think so. And then we're going to put our little companion into our hand here. We can play the Yorion next turn and blink our Beanstalk due to the carpet. And then we'll have the biggest game in town. We also have an uncounterable way of beating a big reanimating creature. So if they like attract Serra and get a Force of Will off the top, it means that we can just plow through it with this Supreme Verdict. Now obviously they're still going to have those cards, but it means we can definitely get rid of the body. And we're pretty good at trading with just bits and pieces. Wasteland into the graveyard. A Ponder, sure. The Yorion will draw us 2 cards when we cast it. One for the trigger on the Beanstalk, and then it will blink the Beanstalk, which will then draw us another card when it comes back. 3 cards left in our opponent's hand. We can play a Yorion around a daze, which sounds like a pretty good strategy to me. But we'll see what we draw. Maybe things change if we draw something relevant here. A Windswept Heath. Okay, I'll say yes, and I will name blue. So we automatically get the card draw from this. And then this comes in. Alright, I will blink out my Beanstalk. And we're going to end the turn. My Beanstalk will come back. And we're getting a Brainstorm. Sure. Interestingly, they didn't Brainstorm response to our Yorion. Right, Understate Sewers, they've shuffled off of that Brainstorm, and now they're taking another Surveil. They put an Attractor into the bin. Okay. A Brainstorm of our very own. Are we firing this off now? Or are we using it to protect our hand? Opponent's got 3 cards in hand. I think that's okay. We could hit Force of Will blue card if our opponent goes for this Attractor right now, which I think we're probably supposed to try and do. We already have the blue card in the Supreme Verdict. A Supreme Verdict is a guaranteed way of dealing with Attractor. Obviously, we lose our Yorion, which is kind of a bit sad. So I think we would rather Force of Will, if possible. But there are definitely ways where if they're reanimating and have Force of Will blue card, it can look a bit bad for us compared to just verdicting it away. Now, if our opponent doesn't do anything here, that's also pretty good. I don't believe we need to Brainstorm right now, so we're just going to carry on. Serra's Sanctum. I will say no to this one for now. Let's just attack with the Yorion. If we can crack a couple of times, we can shrink their life total to the point where reanimation effects look pretty bad. So yes, one in blue. Alright, we're going to get blown out by our Bowmasters. It's possible. We did not get blown out by our Bowmasters. I like the cards in our hand. I don't really want this Serra's Sanctum though. I don't think we actually need another carpet. I prefer to just make land drops. Alright, so I will just play out our land here. We will crack this. And I think we may as well just get like a Meticulous Archive or something. Or no, we probably want to get a red source actually, don't we? We should get a Taiga here. And then we can use the blue mana we still have floating to Brainstorm again. A Forth Eorlingas is relatively nice to have here. I'm going to hide it on top though. So we can Pyroblast the Attractor if it makes it into play. reanimate. Sure. With this trigger on the stack, I'm going to Pyroblast this Atraxa. You can get some cards. Okay, they had a Force of Will. Okay. So we do have the clean answer for this in the Supreme Verdict. We need them to not find the Thoughtseize, though. Maybe we're supposed to hide the Supreme Verdict on top. There is a Thoughtseize there, and they should take it and fire it out. Okay. Do we want to play the Forth Eorlingas game? Maybe. They gain 7, but we hit them for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 times 2 is 18, so we hit them for 18 and they gain 7. They're going to 2 here. So they're on 9, effectively. And they're taking... Sorry, they're taking 16. Yeah. So, sorry, what do they put in their hand? Thoughtseize. They took Thoughtseize, Force of Will, Polluted Delta, Orcish Bowmaster. So they have a Force of Will in hand as well. That's unfortunate for us. Let's work out again. So they took Thoughtseize, but they've already cast. They've got the Orcish Bowmasters in hand. And a Polluted Delta they've played out. So they have one mystery card in hand. We need to work out if it's blue or not. I don't really think we have much of a choice here. We do get to cantrip with this Beanstalk, but the card underneath is a land. So I think we go... We say yes, I would like some white mana, I guess. So play this one out, we crack this. What are we getting here? We can put the Pyroblast on top of our library and draw it. Do we have enough islands actually for that? We don't have enough islands for that, so that's not a play. I think we just get a volcanic island here. And then we're going to make a Forth Eorlingas. So our opponent is effectively on 9 and one of our guys doesn't get through. So this is currently 6 damage. We need to pay red, obviously. This is 7, 8 damage. 9, 10 damage. So I think we can pay with all of this. We have the Yorion as well. So maybe we didn't need to pay this much. We could have paid a little bit less. But we have the Orcish Bowmasters that we need to get through as well. So we do need the extra body. Okay. They're going to 1 off of this force. We get to draw a card. They correctly did it before we drew in case we drew a Pyroblast or something. But if we draw a Pyroblast, we just win here anyway, right? Because we just kill this. They're going to play the Bowmasters out now. They are playing out the Bowmasters. A Ponder. I think we're more likely to hit a white removal spell, I think, right? We've got 2 Pyroblasts, but 3 Plows. No, we've got 2 Plows, 2 Pyroblasts. So it's kind of even either way. Do I think we're going to hit a Pyroblast? Did I board in all my Pyroblasts? No, I didn't. So there's only 1 Pyroblast. Okay, so we should be pondering off of this. We do this because it gives us the option to win the game. Solitude, Carpet of Flowers, Uro. I guess we bury the carpet. Put the Yorion... Let's put the Solitude on top. And then we draw the Uro. So we have the kill for the Attractor next turn. We need to survive this turn. So we take 8 damage this turn. They might not attack with the Orc Army. They might just attack with the Attractor. Am I willing to trade this body right now? We have to, right? Because if the Orcish Bowmaster... If the Orcish Bowmaster pings us... Alright, so they're coming in with everything. So this is 7, 8 if we block like that. So if we block here, our Solitude will kill us to their Bowmaster. So we do need to chump block here so that we can afford to get the card draw off our Beanstalk, because this card draw is compulsory. Okay, what do we want here? We have... How much green mana do we have? 1, 2, 3 green mana. How much blue mana do we have? 1, 2, 3. So we can't play an Uro this turn. What mana do we want here? So yes, I'll take white mana. So we're going to cast this. We get card draw. It grows their Orc Army, which is a pain. You got Hardcast Force of Will over there? Sure. That is us. We're not dead actually, are we? We're just very nearly dead. Supreme Verdict? Not a Supreme... Oh, we knew this was going to be the card patch, didn't we? So we take one from this. We play green for the carpet. We go to second main phase. Green, green, blue, blue. So this makes us blue mana. We still have enough to Supreme Verdict if we draw it. No land cards to go on the battlefield. Sure, we get pinged down here. We don't have the second green for this Uro. We do have a Ponder, which can find us a Supreme Verdict. We could Solitude this, chump block this, and then what? And then One Ring, try and get our way through. That doesn't sound great to me, because Brainstorm is going to be not very useful. I think we have to any order and shuffle here. Alright, we swung and a miss. Like, we could have traded water for another turn, but then we have to go through those other cards, and that's just not a great situation for us. I think our thing was fine. I think we were very close to winning that one. We're only... Like, we mulled to 5. I think with, like, one more card along the way, we could have been alright. Also, in terms of what we could have done better, I could have maybe hid the Supreme Verdict on top in case they reanimated. I made a decision that I was too concerned with trying to win the game, where I could have just buried... I could have just put Forth Eorlingas and then Supreme Verdict on top, instead of doing it the other way, where I kept the Supreme Verdict in hand and it was thought seizable. So there's definitely a way we could have played that game to win that one. We can keep 7 though. Island Ponder, and we have the Lorien Revealed as well. Sure. I think I'll play this out. I'm just going to hold for now, with the intention of cycling this Lorien Revealed, because if we're casting this Ponder, what are we doing? We're looking for a land, but we can get a land with this Lorien Revealed anyway. I think we go and get a Tundra here, and then we cycle for a tropical island. Yes, it can be annoying in certain situations here, but I think we just have to suck it up. I think the ground seal is where I want to be here. If we get Wastelander, we still have a blue source to cantrip next time. Alright, we're in with the ground seal. Okay, so we're not getting immediately bodied by an Atraxa. Right, surveil away a Flooded Strand. We need to be relatively aware of our time. We only have 9 minutes on the clock. Thoughtseize, sure. Like, our hand is just a bunch of good cards, really. Not quite sure what you take here. Ponder, maybe? Okay, they went for the Brainstorm. They want to keep the information they know relevant. I can appreciate that. Okay, we immediately drew a Ponder, so that's not too shabby. I think we're going to cast this Ponder, looking for a land. We did find a land. Also found some other stuff I'm not in love with, but I will take this land for now. So we have Force of Will pitching Uro, and there's another Uro on top, so we're not going to be out of Uros. If they're playing fair creatures, I think our hand smashes that quite handily. Uro is quite the big game against fair creature decks. Now, they might go for some sort of Brazen Borrower, bounce my Ground Seal combo offline. They can also entomb whilst Ground Seal is around. It only means you can't target stuff, is all Ground Seal says. We're getting Thoughtseized. Sure. You can take my Force if that's what you want. Like, we might just be able to grind through our opponent's reanimated creature and the card advantage from it with our removal spells and Uro. But they're going to need multiple steps to get somewhere like that. They're not going to take the Uro here. Okay, they took a Leyline Binding. Sure, that's a Ponder. It's not what we're pointing any of our spells at. So next turn, we draw the Solitude, I think, and then we cast the Uro. No, we drew the Uro. Okay, sure, that's fine. That's better. That's the way I would have preferred it, to be honest, because that means we always have the blue card. Let's get the Uro in. Alright, now we draw the Solitude. I would like to hit a land drop, to be honest, but beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. We're only 1 mana source away from being able to get this Uro in play, and that should run away with the game if it goes unchecked for a couple of turns. I feel like this Ground Seal is doing some amount of work. Our opponent's got a lot of cards over there, but they're not really doing much. They're just sort of moving stuff around with like Ponders and such. A Dauthi Voidwalker. Sure. That's what our source of Plowshares is there for. Okay, and we can just hold up, Dress Down, Force of Will, and Solitudes. Eventually we're going to draw a land, and the Uro is going to be good. I think Wasteland is what we don't want to see. which I've probably spoken into existence. No. Okay, they just got hard cast Force of Will. We could have done like an end step dress down and then floated this Uro in, but we don't need to be the one that moves here. As we said in game 1, if this game goes long and we just get to make all of our land drops and have our resources, then we're good. Now obviously we're not making land drops here. Okay, that wasteland is horrible, to be honest. Okay, do I want to use this for anything? We just suck it up and move on with life. Meticulous Archive. Let's get some surveil action in. Just show me more lands. Yes, there's a land. Now, we don't have double green yet, so Uro is a little bit further down the tracks. But we're not out of mana, which is nice. Play this. This can go and get us a Hedge Maze, which can surveil us towards the second green source to get this Uro in. Sure, you can ponder. We do need to actually win this game because time is a relatively important factor here. I think it was better to hold up the dress down this turn cycle than put the Yorion in hand. Right, they've got a bunch of stuff over there. Let's go and get this Hedge Maze. That is a green source. Green, green, blue, blue. Your friend of mine, Uro. Let's take out some of the stuff that we don't interact with at all. And then we'll just take out whatever. Because we have Meticulous Archive, so keeping the spells in makes sense. Alright, we're going to get Hardcast Force of Will here. Do I fight over this? Alright, we got Brainstorm first. So it's not a Hardcast Force of Will. If it's a Pitch Cast Force of Will, do we fight over it? Because our opponent's going to have, what, 5 cards. They pitch 2, they have 3 cards left. So if we Force of Will this, then we have, like, all our removal still. We still have to get through the ground seal. We can pay through a daze. Yeah, I think we might force back on a force here. Okay, they didn't have one, so moot point. An Orcish Bowmasters. Okay. Do I want to just get this Leyline Binding in for 1 mana? Sure. No Bowmasters. And we get free land. Love the free land. There you go. We'll pass. Our opponent's got 4 cards in hand. We've got Force of Will blue card and 2 removal spells. I feel pretty safe. It's going to take a lot for our opponent to get through this. It's not impossible. We've also got a Yorion we can then use to draw a card off the ground seal and then change what the Leyline Binding is targeting if we want to. Probably don't want to do that, to be fair, but it's an option. But yeah, we're just going to be hard casting Solitudes. That is an Entomb. We have a ground seal, so we're not worried about this Entomb just yet. Archon of Cruelty, sure. They need to Brazen Borrower our ground seal first. Do I fight over this with... I think we do fight over the Borrower here. We know one of the cards in their hand is a reanimation spell. Okay, so they have a Force of Will here. Okay. So the ground seal goes back to our hand. They get the Archon of Cruelty. That's fine. We just sacrifice this. We put an Uro into our graveyard. Our opponent gets 1 card here. I'll just discard this Uro. It likes being in the graveyard anyway. And then we can just hard cast our Solitude. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand. That's fine. Now, the amount of time left on our clock is an issue. Let's just go for this. White, white, 1, 2, 3. Get this in. Kill this. Crack this. Go and get a green source. Savannah is fine. Let's get the ground seal back in. Okay, we've drawn a white. We've drawn a non-white card, so we can just F6 this turn. Alright, they're scooping it up. We just have going over the top with card advantage. This is what I mean when I've been saying that if the game goes long, we do eventually win. And like, our opponent managed to reanimate a big monster, but it wasn't good enough because we just answer it and then we just back in with the card advantage. Alright, 1 victory in the books. Let's go to round 2. Yeah, this seems fine. We've got land drops. We've got some pretty ridiculous draw engines. I think basically has like the 3 most busted draw engines in the format, really. Oh, yeah, so we got like Uro, Beanstalk, One Ring. Those are pretty darn good draw engines. I play against this opponent often. I can never remember what they play. Right, I think they're playing Eldrazi's. Is this going to be a Chalice of the Void? No, it's an Endless one. That's fine. They are a Wasteland deck. Can I afford to be Wastelanded here? I don't think so. We're going to get a Plains. And then we're going to cycle this Lorien Revealed. Actually, we're going to do that. Do we need to do that right now? We already have our land drops. I think that's fine. Don't really need to fetch this. Okay, Supreme Verdict is something I'm happy about. I don't want to play Beanstalk out right now because if our opponent plays the Line Breaker. I was going to say Reality Smash, that's the wrong one. If they play Line Breaker, we definitely want to plow this. Alright, let's see what they're up to though. If they're just going to hit us for 2, I'll take that. There's a Thought Knots here, we can then plow it in response to the trigger. Cavern of Souls, sure. Is this a Flesh Raker? I think that probably has to go here. A Chalice of the Void, X is 1. Okay, I'm going to kill this Endless one then. While we can still use our resources. So they got a free 2 points of damage that way. But they're also not advancing their board and we have a removal spell. Okay, Leyline Binding, very good here. Let's go for... I guess it doesn't really matter which land we leave up. Let's Beanstalk. We can cycle the Lorien Revealed and get ourselves towards our 4th land drop. And then just start doing wandering things. And our life total at present is good enough. We've only taken a little bit of damage. Now, that can obviously change over the course of a few turns. There's some pretty busted, massive creatures our opponent can play. A Reality Smasher. That is a big friend, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to get a white source with our Lorien Revealed so we can cast our Supreme Verdicts. I think we go and get... we can't get Savannah, can we? We need a white source, so it has to be Tundra. And we're not going to get a tap land. Alright, I'm going to play the One Ring this turn. That gives us a fog and means that our opponent's going to commit more stuff to the board, so we sweep up more stuff with the Supreme Verdict without having to use our life total to do so. We have a second One Ring, so I will just draw some cards off of this one. It can get a little sketchy, but I think if we can keep the cards flowing and then just reset the One Ring later, then we'll be alright. I want you to deploy your entire hand, please, opponent. That would make me happy. We now have an answer in hand for the Chalice with this Boseiju as well. We had the Leyline Binding, but this can obviously hit creatures, so I'd rather not spend it on a Chalice when we need to answer their threats. Chalice of the Void, X equals 1. Okay. We're really just going to ride this one guy all the way. Okay, I think we're going to draw some cards with the One Ring. I'm going to deploy Boseiju. Now they've got 2 Chalice, I don't really care for that very much. Actually, 1, 2, 3. They're a long way off of Iovugan stuff, actually. I think we're just going to redeploy a ring here. Keep the new one. We made a land yet this turn? I don't think we have. Oh, we have made a land. Okay, I didn't need to draw that card then. I was probably drawing it anyway, but still. We could have played out this Ponder just so that we have more cards on our graveyard for Uro, which is how we make sure we get through this one. Just clear Courtyard. Just keep playing out your Eldrazi, please. If they know the list at top 8 of the challenge, that won the challenge, they'll probably be more inclined. Okay, we got Wastegate Battle Mage. We exile in the One Ring, so I don't even take life from it. Cool. Yeah, so if they know the list that we're playing because they saw the one that won the challenge, then they'll know that we're building up to Supreme Verdicts. They might not want to grow their board too much. I would like another white source, so I'm going to play out this Flooded Strand. So we're going to go Supreme Verdict white, white, colourless blue. So we strip out these 2 guys. We have a Phelia, which is going to be a draw engine now, so we can use this to blink our Beanstalk. We have enough stuff in our graveyard for an Uro now anyway. We can Meticulous Archive and get back 1, 2, 3 islands. Yeah, we can Meticulous Archive and get back the Supreme Verdict here. We can also cast... We can get like an Underground Sea or something and cast a Leyline Binding. Do I want to take a hit from a Reality Smasher? Not really. You can go to attacks. Is this becomes a target of a spell an opponent controls? Okay, so we don't even lose a card for the Binding. That's gross. Love it. Okay, so... oh no, this needs to find us... Hold on, the Leyline Binding currently costs 3 mana. What can we find with this? It would have to be a white source, and it would also have to be another colour that we don't have. So if we look at our mana base, there isn't a land we can fetch that allows us to cast a Leyline Binding. So I guess we take 5 here. Hate that. Well, maybe they deploy another creature, and then we can put the Supreme Verdict on top. Okay, let's crack this. Let's Mystic Sanctuary. Get back, Supreme Verdict. I think I want a Supreme Verdict here. So we can go and get a Savannah and then cast a 3-mana Leyline Binding. Because basically I want to keep the Leyline Binding for an instant speed threat like a Line Breaker or a Reality Smasher. So using the sorcery speed removal on the creature that's already there makes the most sense to me. 1, 2, 3, 4. So still a long way off of Iovugan. These decks tend not to be doing Iovugan stuff, but we are a slow deck, so there is a possibility that we give them enough time. Okay, red mana. This is like a Line Breaker. Sure. Is it just a Line Breaker on its own? Or are you bringing a friend with it? Right, so it's going to attack. And we can get rid of this. So we're going to get Savannah here. Cast this. I quite like Eldrazi into us, to be honest, as a matchup for them. Like, the Cavern of Souls can be kind of annoying. And their creatures are quite hasty, so it's quite a lot of like pressure that we can't necessarily manage all the time. Okay, Force of Will. You are almost certainly useless here. Let's go for a Beanstalk. A land. This allows us to play the One Ring here as a fog effect. I'm not going to draw any cards with this One Ring. It is just a fog effect for now. And then we can get our Phelia going this turn cycle. These two cards don't do anything right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're getting close to the old Iovugan. We do still have another Boseiju kicking around. Maybe we can find that one. This is like a big Kozilek's Command. This is good for us because it's actually something we can point a Force of Will at. You can't use this Colorless Eldrazi mana for the Iovugan because it's only for spells or abilities, and obviously of an Eldrazi. And this is not an Eldrazi, it's just land. Now if it was like a Kindred Eldrazi land, that'd be cool. Obviously not for me right now, but just in general. No, you can't have these things. They're exiling our graveyard here because we have Uro in our deck. So we get to draw 2 cards off this Beanstalk. That's big news. We counter their Kozilek's Command. We can go to 2 here. Our life total is pretty precarious. Our opponent doesn't have reach outside of the Fleshraker though. I think we just get the red source here so that if we draw a Forth Eorlingas we can just end the game. Or at least get close to ending the game. So let's play this Phelia. Yeah, One Ring, you can stay there. I'm not going to draw any cards with you. A Dress Down. That is actually pretty handy here. I'm going to play out this Ground Seal. Get a card draw going. Oh, we can draw with this One Ring and then fog again. I don't hate that. Sure, let's draw a card with One Ring. We can also just blink this out so it loses the counters. We'll play that Taiga out. Do I need to fog this turn? I don't think so. Maybe we do though. Let's just get the fog down. I tap my mana horribly then. We'll keep the new one. So tapping this and drawing a card is the same as blinking the Ground Seal here. So I'm just going to blink the Ground Seal. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't leave white mana there. Just foolish of me. So the Dress Down can maybe buy us a turn not getting killed. Okay, there's the Forth Eorlingas. 1, 2. So we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 damage. That's not lethal, but it's close. Oh, 18, 19 if we have this. Where is our opponent's Ancient Tomb? I don't really want to let my opponent just ping for 1 here. We're going to do like a medium-sized Forth Eorlingas. This is 3, that's 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. We need to do it for 1 more. So it's probably this one. So we get to draw 2 cards. And then we're going to get to draw another card in a second as well. A Force of Will. Don't hate that. That's one of the reasons why we don't want to play this fetch land. We can go to attacks here. I'll blink out this Ground Seal. I might as well play this land out. I'm not going to crack it. But we have Force of Will. We get the Monarch here as well. We get another draw off the Ground Seal. And the Dress Down should do enough that our opponent can't win. Boseiju, not opposed to having the Boseiju there. So going to tutor with the Iovugan here. Be my guest. What are you going to find? Fleshraker or Reality Smasher? There are options our opponent can use. Line Breaker makes your top decks better because you have the mana to play Line Breaker plus other stuff. And Line Breaker is only 1 damage less than a Reality Smasher when you have no creatures anyway. A Fleshraker. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cast Dress Down in response to the Fleshraker. So they can't make any things. And then we have the Force of Will if they have an instant speed. Phelia can blink out their blocker as well. Right. So you have your 2/2 with no abilities. Very good. What are the 2 cards in your hand? If they have a Kozzet's Command they fire off in the end step, then we beat that. We go to 1, but we do beat it, I think. Do we, though? Think about it, because we pay 1 life for this force. If they do it in our turn, yeah, they need to do it now. Because they get 1 ping off of this guy. A Kozzet's Command. So we Force of Will this, we die to this Fleshraker trigger. How can we answer this guy? We could Brainstorm into... Can we Brainstorm into Leyline Binding here? Leyline Binding to be 1, we would have to get a black source. So we have to crack this. Oh no, we can't Brainstorm because of the chalices, right? So... we could... Force of Will into Leyline Binding for this guy? Does that work? No, because we end up with 1 less life. We don't have the mana here. I guess we Force of Will this and draw 2 cards. And maybe we find something. Not quite sure what we can find here. Oh, Solitude. Solitude is fine here, right? There it is. Okay, so we counterspell the Kozzet's Command. And then we pitch cast this Solitude. Kill the Fleshraker. So they get 2 life here, but that shouldn't matter. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't think they can deal us the 1 damage. Alright, we did find the line. That was very much closer than I wanted it to be. So Ground Seal is not particularly useful in this matchup. Yes, they might have some Graven Hate that can hit our Uro, but that's not really what this game is going to be about. But what actually looks good from our sideboard? Like, I don't mind the Force of Figures to hit the Chalices, but it's not special, is it? That's about it. We don't really have much for the Eldrazi matchup. I guess we'll just have a couple of Force of Figures and go back in. Okay. We can counterspell the first thing. We got some removal. This is fine. Force of Wills aren't great in this matchup, but sometimes are clutch, which is kind of a weird position for them to be. I think we keep this one. I like being able to remove my opponent's creatures. A waste. Okay, that's good. They're not doing a turn 1 line breaker. I think we are probably in we need to surveil land here territory. They do run wastelands though. But we need to keep finding removal spells and stuff like that and card advantage to grease the wheels so we can continue to make plays. So we've got the first couple of things covered, but then it gets a little bit sketchy after that. They're really not playing anything out on turn 2 either. This is incredible news for us. Not really sure our opponent's hand is to keep. We want the removal colour mana, which is Meticulous Archive. Although we kind of need green at some point because that's our other main colour. Okay, we'll get Hedge Maze. Brainstorm, yes please. Gives us a lot of options with how this turn can progress. Let's just find a bunch more white cards, please. Interesting. I guess we play out the Tundra here. Just putting lands on top at this point. Am I pondering right now? I don't think so. We've got Forcible Blue card, Forcible Blue card. Are you really just doing a cantrip in Kozzet's Command? A Disruptive Flute. Do we care about the Disruptive Flute? What are they going to name? I think they're going to name Force of Will. I think we're just going to hit this. We don't know how often our Force of Wills are going to be useful because our opponent might just drop a Cavern of Souls, then we get nothing. But if they name Source to Plowshares or whatever and make our Source to Plowshares much more difficult to cast when we find them, that's really annoying. There is the Wasteland. They should go after Tundra here, which is why we played it out. Yep. I will float a white mana. We didn't want them to go after the Hedge Maze. So we put the plains on top of our library and hang out the Tundra because your opponent should be hitting the colour that interacts with them the most. And removal is the thing that we want most here. So we managed to get that exchange that we wanted. Well, we didn't necessarily want it, but what is this? A Disruptive Flute. Okay, I guess we let this one happen. We're going to name Force of Will. Leyline Binding, Source to Plowshares. I quite like Source to Plowshares as a name here. Making it cost like 4 mana to plow something is awful. Supreme Verdict they've seen. Leyline Binding. Okay, so they did hit one of the things we have. But now we get to draw a card. We have a Solitude that can have a Leyline Binding pitch to it. So we still have uses for Leyline Binding. We still got this cantripping Force of Will available. Okay, Cavern of Souls. Force of Will no longer doing stuff apart from hitting Kozilek's commands, which is fine. Alright, so we're going to see a Line Breaker. I'm going to pitch this Leyline Binding. Getting a free card with our Up the Beanstalk. We've got our engine in now. Source of Plowshares, beautiful. Take out this Line Breaker. Our opponent's hand was very slow. They've given us so much time. An Uro. I do like an Uro. Do I like it more than holding up Source of Plowshares and just keeping our life total healthy? So we can, like, end a turn, dress down, untap Uro, and just have an Uro in, ready to start attacking. That is something I'm going to be considering this turn. But just showing off their haste for a turn is really, really good. Or, like, stopping a... Ugh, why would you do that? Why would you wasteland? But if they're wastelanding, they're not committing guys to the board necessarily. Okay, I guess that's fine. Right, there's a Lotus Petal. Are you playing something in the second main phase? No. I'm just going to cycle this dress. I think I am, because we don't want to get caught by another wasteland. We just want to keep our lands flowing. Alright, if we draw a land here, we can just dump the Euro into play, and that's pretty good. We didn't find the land. We did find a ponder here. See if we can secure a land drop. We have secured a land drop. 2, in fact. Okay, so I think we go... snow-covered forest, Boseiju, Solitude. No, I've stacked that wrong, haven't I? Can I undo that? No, I can't. Okay. That was a mistake. I just stacked in the wrong order there. I wanted to have the Boseiju in hand. But we have 2 removal spells and a Force of Will that cantrips. So it's just going to be a Kozilek's command. It is. Okay, we're just going to say no to this. Like I said, our Force of Will isn't getting any better here. It is a shame to lose the Euro, but just keeping our opponent's resources down. Like, they've only got 3 mana here. And they've got 5 drops. They've probably got a 7 drop of Sire of 7 Deaths in their deck as well. Right, they finally found... Okay, they got Chalice of the Void. Well, you do have an answer for that in this Boseiju. So not the end of the world. Our opponent's already got their basic as well. Okay, now we're probably going to have to reach for our Yorion to win this game, but we'll do that later on. We need to Boseiju and plow something first. Right, 4 mana. This is going to be a Thought-Knot Seer. A Chalice for 2. Okay, that's fine by me. I'm going to get rid of this Chalice for 1 now. Just so we can be mana efficient and maybe deploy something that advances our own game plan next turn. They failed to find, as expected. They're almost certainly running the list that's been doing relatively well lately. Okay, let's go and put this companion in our hand. Important to remember that you have a companion. I have forgotten on occasion. Just bleaching this failed mechanic out of my brain, I guess. If we find a land, we can just deploy the Yorion and draw some cards. We didn't find a land, so we're just going to sit here. Dress down can stop a Thought-Knot Seer from taking anything from our hand. I think we're in a favoured position. It's just going to take a little while to turn the screws and get the game won. Some stuff can definitely go wrong for us, but it's going to take multiple draws from our opponent that are good and multiple draws from us that are bad. Do I want to just get this land in? I think so. This is what? Tundra or Tropical Island? We can't get a Tundra. We can get a Meticulous Archive. Get us a second white source to turn on our sweepers. Source of Plowshares. Sure. We have triple Source of Plowshares, Solitude. I don't think we're losing this one. They could play the 3rd Chalice, right? That could maybe stop us getting our Source of Plowshares being leveraged. A Glaring Fleshraker. This seems like a good time to dress down. Oh, they've got Chalice of the Void. That was really bad of me there. Okay, so they have an uncountable Fleshraker. Whoops. Okay, so they're going to cast a spell here, and we're going to plow it. Or they're going to wait till... They could try and wait to play something in response to our removal if they've got an instant. Chalice of the Void X equals 2 again. Let's plow this guy. Why are they so worried about X equals 2? It's This could have been on 1 and shut down a bunch of stuff on our deck. Right, we'll blink the Beanstalk as well. Let's get some more cards going. Got Phelia for more blink action. Alright, they've had enough because we've assembled a card advantage engine. We got a bunch of removal. They got nothing. Yeah, I think this matchup is an interesting one. Like, normally Eldrazi's pretty good into like dirtly blue decks. But their hand was really bad. There's no way they should have kept that hand. I'm not even sure why they're boarding in these Disruptor Flutes. I guess they're just to try and delay our removal spells. But I think if you just have maximum threats, that's probably the way to go. Now, our hand was obviously very good. But I think this matchup is a lot closer than it certainly looked in this particular game. Let's go to round 3. Have you got magic cards you don't want taking up space in your home, or do you just need some extra spending money? Well, my lovely sponsors, 3for1 Trading, are buying all collections, big and small. They are one of Europe's biggest traders and have a transparent process to sell them cards and make sure you're getting a good deal. Click the link in the description of this video to get an offer on your cards today. Okay, how about this hand? Yeah, we have an Island Ponder, but we just have to kind of go through a little hoop to get there. Serra Sanctum, not looking spectacular in this hand. Okay, do we play around a Stifle here? I don't think so. I want our opponent to be fearful of crop rotation, potentially. Underground Sea. Okay, so we will cycle this in response. We'll go and get ourselves a Tundra here. They're going to take our Ponder. I think it's a very easy Ponder take. Are we hanging out this Tundra? I don't think we are. Are we? I don't really want my only blue source getting wasted, so I guess we play out this Boseiju. Yeah, that Ponder was kind of clutch for our hand, to be honest. Brainstorm, sure. We could Boseiju their land to give them a free shuffle and mana ramp. Well, it's not really mana ramp, it's like a Lotus Petal's worth of mana ramp, isn't it? Just to have the same amount of lands, but they just get 1 more mana this turn. But we're not doing that, obviously. Okay, we got fetch land to go with their Brainstorm. Very nice for them. An Abundant Growth. I'm going to put this on our Boseiju. Okay, an Uro. Happy to see that. I will play out the Tundra this time. Because we have the Boseiju. So we have 2 coloured sources. The Boseiju is a thing that they were way more likely to wasteland here. Because it has synergy, the fact that it has an enchantment on it. And it also taps for all the colours. An Entomb. Cool. Let's hope that they have an Animate Dead. Because then we can blow it up in response. Otherwise, we're getting cooked. This doesn't give it all types. There's a 2-mana version of this that does give it all types. So it can enable your Leyline Bindings. But this deck is not running that. It's just run the 1-drop one. Thoughtseize as well. Sure. Please have Animate Dead. We can beat Animate Dead. I think Reanimate probably cooks us in a few turns. It won't take long. Leyline Binding gone. Not a surprise. Is it actual factual Reanimate? Shall I escort myself to the dumpster? I shall. Okay. Yikes. We did beat this deck earlier, but the best deck is the best deck for a reason, right? Okay. 2 Wastelands, they can get one of those maximum. 2 Ponders get one of those maximum. Let's see what they end up choosing here. Double Thoughtseize into Reanimate Atraxa is a lot for us to get through. So they have Tamiyo, Ponder, Entomb, Wasteland. Tamiyo, Ponder, Entomb, Wasteland. And there is a Tamiyo. So they don't have a removal spell, a counter spell that we know of. So this is our shot to try and get rid of this Atraxa. Come on, deck. I believe in you. Brainstorm is a pretty good way to start things off, isn't it? Let's get that going. A Leyline Binding. Okay. I assume we can cast that. Do we need Forth Eorlingas right now? It's not the worst. I don't think we need 2 of them, though. Do we want this Serra Sanctum? I'm just going to tap for 2 mana. That's better than a Boseiju, I think. So we'll put these back. So how much does this cost right now? 3 mana. So if we play this, we go and get a Volcanic Island. Or Volcanic Island is the one, isn't it? Do we want a Taiga? No, we want more blue sources, I think. Because we got 2 green here. Well, this is all colours anyway. So now we get to play this Leyline Binding around a daze, which is kind of a big deal. Okay, so we've got rid of the Atraxa. We have a sort of answer to this Tamiyo because we can just make a bunch of horses. And we now have a land that taps for 2. We've got an Uro to start grinding some advantage later on. We've still got a Yorion waiting in the wings that we can reach upon later on. But they have an Entomb, so sending for a second time is not out of the realm of possibility, and a Brazen Borrower bouncing our Leyline Binding is disgusting for us. So this game is relatively well poised, which isn't what you can usually say after your opponent Entomb reanimates and attracts her. They're also on 7, so we might just be able to make a bunch of horses and kill them. We need to make 4 horses. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we do have lethal if we play the Forth Eorlingas into a daze. Have they played a land yet this turn? They have. They play the island, so they can't wasteland us either. Do we try and go for the win? We could just hit them for a bunch and play around days. So 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana, 5, 6 mana. So we can do a lethal Forth Eorlingas. But we can't now because of the Tamiyo. Do we go for a Forth Eorlingas that kills Tamiyo, or do we go for one that plays around a daze? I think it probably has to be one that plays around a daze here. Do I want a Ground Seal? If I cast Ground Seal, then we can get the bits in a little bit. Okay, I've convinced myself to Ground Seal first. This stops some of our opponent's worst excesses from ruining our day. Force of Will on the Ground Seal. Okay, so now we have to play out the Serra Sanctum. We have to cast this. We need to attack the Tamiyo and put it below 3 life. So we don't get to get the Monarch here, which is annoying. But we can't let them have... Can we let them have Entomb Reanimate? No, that doesn't seem like the correct thing to do here. We need to put this low, because otherwise they just get their... I guess they can't reanimate back here. Maybe we're supposed to attack 1-1 actually. Yeah, I don't like... I'm unhappy with that play now. We should have gone 1-1, so that if the Tamiyo minuses it dies, because they can't get back the reanimate and use it, because they'll die if they get something good back. So they can just get something medium back. Although introducing the Monarch into the game is always a bit scary. So we have blue, blue, green, green. So we can play the Uro if we get it into the bin. We've also got a Yorion we can reach for. Blink our Abundant Growth, draw a card in a few turns' time. We should have got the Monarch, I think, that turn. The problem is, if they have Orcish Bowmasters, we just entirely fold at that point. If that's what they untap into. Or if that's like the action they've got available. Because they get the Monarch back. They also ping us down, take out one of our guys. They can stop us from getting the Monarch back very easily. And then the game snowballs. Okay, we're going to lose the Boseiju here. Or it could be the Serra Sanctum. Do they want to take us off with raw mana or colours? It might be raw mana because we just cast an X spell. I would rather they hit our Serra Sanctum than our Boseiju here. Because we need blue, blue, green, green. Alright, they're waiting to see what we're doing first, perhaps. Because we only have 1 card in hand. They're going to do it in our upkeep? No. Okay. Blue. Atlas for some mana as well. And green. Let's frontside the Uro. Why would it be anything other than Orcish Bowmasters? Ask yourself that question. So the reason we're doing it is because we can see if we need to hit the Tamiyo with our creatures or not. That's why we're playing this pre-combat. Petty Theft on the Leyline Binding. Ugh, disgusting. I did say that would be a thing that could happen that might just end our game entirely. I guess we're playing the Binding out, aren't we? Let's take out this Atraxa. They still get a bunch of cards. But their life total is a place where it might be exploitable for us. Okay, not too bad. Murktide Regent is the scariest thing there, I think. Brainstorm, pretty good. I reckon they go for Murktide Regent, Brainstorm, probably Undercity Sewers. And then I guess their sorcerer ends up being Reanimate. Yeah, Reanimate, Undercity Sewers, Brainstorm, Murktide Regent. Yes, our opponent agreed exactly with our picks there. So we're going to lose one of our tokens here, which is annoying. Oh, the One Ring. That's an interesting one in this position that we find ourselves in. Do I want to attack into their Tamiyo? No. That sounds terrible for us. I guess we pass. We're not going to fetch our Windswept Heath until we know where our opponent's wasteland is point. Okay, they're just entombing. Is this going to be Orcish Bowmasters and Reanimate? An Archon of Cruelty. Well, they shouldn't reanimate that one. What are you doing, opponent? Okay, we win the game, I guess. Okay. That was not the one you wanted, opponent. Alright, we'll take it. I think we lose that game most of the time. Like, it's Uro versus all this, and I think the Tamio just wins the game. Our opponent just gave us a free win there. Okay, I'll take it. Ground Seal in. Carpet Flowers in. Abundant Growth out. And what else did we do last time? I think we took out Phelia? That sounds like something we would have done. Maybe we are supposed to get rid of the One Rings here. They're very good into the fair plan. I think we had like 2 Pyroblast last time. So we cut on a Forth Eorlingas, put in a Pyroblast. Dress down. Phelia is not so good here. Let's have a Pyroblast instead of the Phelia. We've still got our 3 Euros and Solitudes and Forth Eorlingas, so we have ways of winning the game. Alright, our opponent's probably not very happy with how that one played out. I don't blame them. But, I will certainly take it. We are the good guy here, so we will enjoy fortune when it smiles upon us. This does not play Magic the Gathering. We need to mulligan this one. Yes, please. I will keep this. We'll put back one of our many lands. Do we get rid of this one so that we have more lands that work with getting the Euro into the bin? Okay, so there's a Ponder there. Okay, so we had a Ponder and no Shuffle. Is this a good turn to get in a Carpet Flowers? No, Days can bite it up. I'm just going to play this Hedge Maze. I'm just going to work towards the Euro. Force of Will. I'll put that on top. I don't really want to be using Force of Wills that much in this game. If we can then recoup that lost card advantage with the Euro, that's fine. I'd rather use things like Ground Seals and then just trade 1-for-1 removal. Are we dead this turn? Let's find out. A Thoughtseize. Okay, so they're going to take our Force probably. Maybe they send it here. Okay, took the Carpet. Yeah, that's pretty good. And a Ponder. Alright, so we're in here for the long game. They didn't shuffle off that Ponder either. I think we're just in Surveil land again. And then next turn we can try for an Euro. We've got enough fetch lands that we're going to be able to feed this Euro relatively well. It's very much our game plan. And it'll beat our opponent's fair game plan most of the time. Alright, Meticulous Archive. Supreme Verdict. That is an uncounterable way of killing a reanimated creature. I think I will keep it. It's not super exciting, but it is what it is. I'm going to get a Tropical Island here because this entire game is about getting this Uro into play. So we want a land that casts either side of Uro, so whatever they waste, we can kind of use our other fetch land to get the piece we want. They're probably going to go after our white source here. Orcish Bowmasters. No. I don't want to play against that Bowmasters. Our deck is built around drawing cards. A Daze here, obviously brutal. Yep, there it is. Okay. But that Daze is going to catch whatever we do at that point. Alright. Come on, Uro. Let's get some good stuffs going. Is now an opportunity to get this carpet down when our opponent can't really do much about it. Maybe. We're going to get Savannah here. So we've got 2 white. Let's get carpet in now. Okay. We don't really get to do anything with the mana this time around. But it's a very, very powerful game object. It makes their wasteland plans a lot worse. So it's going to be harder for them to keep us off of Uro next turn. And yes, they get to ping us whenever Bowmasters sees us draw a card with Euro. But we have a 6/6 in play that's going to be bigger than this. It's going to be drawing us cards that we can hopefully leverage. We could also just like Supreme Verdict this away. I'm not really sure this is where I want to be spending my Supreme Verdict. When Euro is just a perfectly serviceable card on its own anyway. I'll say yes. And we'll get blue mana here. Green, green. Let's get Euro back. It's around a Daze. They can Force of Will this. They didn't. Okay. Do I want this Boseiju in play or not? I think putting it in play is good because it gives us the Yorion in hand. They got another Bowmaster. A Petty Theft. Okay. I will deploy this Snow-Covered Island. Now I think we will just sweep out this Bowmaster for now. It's 4 power over 2 bodies. Seems a good use of that. We need to build up to our Uro. If our opponent plays a Actually, our opponent didn't need to play a land. We can just play a Yorion next turn. It's not the most exciting Yorion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we can also play the Uro as well. No, we can't play the Uro as well. We need them to play another land to do that. Because we blink... No, the carpet doesn't come back yet, does it? No, the carpet comes back at the end step. We don't get to play another Uro. What am I talking about? Right, Brainstorm. They played a Flooded Strand, but they're not playing anything else. That's good news for us. Leyline Binding. I think we say no to this first main phase. We just try and get the Uro in and see what shakes loose afterwards. Say no to this. Right, then we go to our second main phase, I think, here. And we add blue mana. I'm not expecting great amounts from this Brainstorm, but if we can put enough cards in the graveyard and get Uro back in play, that's going to be good. Oh, okay. This is a pretty strong Magic the Gathering card. Do we want to just round this right into a Daze, though? That is kind of awkward. We definitely had a play with I would have Dazed if I was our opponent last. I guess they had the answer for the Uro to just bounce it, which is probably better for them. I guess that means we're going to bury this One Ring and probably just going to keep a selection of removal. So maybe the Binding and the One Ring stay on top. And then we'll play the One Ring around Daze next turn. We'll hold up Dress Down. If they reanimate something, we can stop it from getting them immediate advantage. Fairy Macabre. Okay. Now, we got value from that Uro. Every time it went through, it drew us cards. So that is a trade down for our opponent, but it is an important piece of how we were trying to play this game. And we should have put the Yorion into our hand this turn as well, actually. That was a mistake. Yeah, we could have put the Yorion into hand. That would be a good use of our additional manas. So we'll say yes, and make blue mana. Cast the One Ring. How do you feel about this one, opponent? They don't have hard cast force. Okay, so we're in with the One Ring. So we get to draw the Leyline Binding. Now we can put the Yorion into our hand and it can't be thought seized away. That's kind of a big deal. And yeah, I'm happy with that one. It's a Brazen Borrower. We don't need to plow this now. We can plow this on our opponent's turn. Then maybe they play something scary that we need to contend with. So let's say they play like a Murktide. Our opponent's lost connection to the game. Hopefully they'll be back soon. This is quite an interestingly poised one. I think we are edging ahead though. Right, our opponent made it back. Excellent. We get to keep playing. They've burned a bit of time on their clock doing that, which certainly doesn't hurt for our interest in this game. They're attacking with a Borrower. They don't need to attack here because we have the One Ring, but obviously they just got disconnected and there's been a little bit of a time break here. Oh, they're going to put Kaito in. I see. Kaito is pretty good. This is a creature. We can dress it down so it loses all of its abilities. That's really interesting. I'm not sure how this actually works with Kaito. Let's find out. Let's learn together. So this is just a 3/4 creature, right? It doesn't get to do any Planeswalker abilities and draw cards or anything. And then we can Leyline Binding this on our turn. I was not expecting to see the Kaito out of the Reanimator deck. That is interesting. Right, let's draw a card with the One Ring. Let's do it in response to the Carpet Flowers trigger. It's going to be what we're working with. Okay, blue mana is usually a fine place to be. Right, let's start with a Ponder. I don't want any of these. A Ground Seal. Let's get that in. It just gets us another card, which makes our chances of getting this to resolve a little bit better, potentially. Okay, let's try a Leyline Binding on this Kaito. We have plenty of mana here. Let's get rid of this Kaito. Now, we know they have a Brazen Borrower, which they can then do some stuff with, shortly speaking. Let's... We don't have a white mana up here. Okay, they've just... Yeah, they're just scooping up. They don't think they have enough time to win this game and the next one. I'll take the win, though. We did beat this matchup, though. I think this matchup is an interesting one. And this current board state is fascinating. I think we are ahead here. Like, the Yorion can check the Brazen Borrower if we play it out. They do get a Kaito, but we can also kind of check that. But they can tap it down for a turn. It gets really interesting. Anyway, on to the fourth round. Plenty of removal and a Brainstorm if we don't need removal. Sure, I'll take that. Our opponent has a Scythecat Cub. Hopefully they're playing a green creature deck. Because we certainly have their number if they are. Right, I'll begin with a Windswept Heath. No, I think we play the Flooded Strand out. I think we're more interested in Meticulous Archive as our first land. We'll see what our opponent plays and if we need to pivot and do something different. I don't really want to play on basics in this deck. Polluted Delta. Are we in Blue-Black Reanimator again? It is a lot of the meta. Let's get this Meticulous Archive. I like making land drops. They could be Doomsday or something though. We genuinely don't know what they're up to. I don't want to brainstorm because we don't know what they're up to. If they are playing Blue-Black Reanimator, then we know we need to brainstorm into some counter magic and ground seals. If they're playing Doomsday, counter magic's pretty good too. If they're playing Blue-Black Tempo, then we just want removal and not Force of Wills. If they're playing like Storm, then all these plows are bad. A Brainstorm. This tells us not much, however, it's not nothing. This means that they have an efficient use of their mana on turn 2 that they're really interested in doing. So that could be like Entomb Reanimate, or it could be casting Doomsday and being able to win on the same turn. There's a bunch of things that it could be. Kind of leans me more towards them being a combo deck than being a fair tempo style deck. Second Underground Sea, again, not really giving us any more information here, opponent. Thundertrap Trainer. Okay. So our opponent is on the, I think it's Grixis Control. I think this is what the Thundertrap Trainer deck is mostly about at the moment. But maybe they'll reveal something that changes our perspective. Maybe they're playing like a cool Doomsday. Oh, okay. Just reanimate with Thundertrap Trainer. Cool. Alright. Let's brainstorm at end step. We know we can't get hit by Bowmasters here. Okay, I guess we're putting back some lands here. Let's go and get a... What do you want here? Hedge Maze. Try and dig our way towards Ground Seal. Up the Beanstalk. I'm not going to turn away the Beanstalk here. Let's get the Beanstalk down. This means our Solitude can cantrip. A Leyline Binding. We're a long ways off of being able to cast that for 1 mana. It's not really what we're trying to cast it for. Like instant speed, 3 mana, Leyline Binding is still pretty good. Like an instant speed Vindicate, I'll take it. But sometimes we're getting it for 2 mana and that feels like a bargain. In the late game, when it's 1 mana, then sure. But in the late game, it doesn't really matter because you have so much mana. But we have so many things that we can deploy, all sorts. Alright, that is an Entomb. Now, we do have a Leyline Binding. We can't use the Leyline Binding against the... Okay, so they're playing around us having something that can deal with the Animate Dead. Okay, so this is coming back. Would I like to draw a card? I think I would like to draw a card here. Would I like to daze? Oh, so would I like to play around daze by doing this? Yeah, we're going to just try and kill this with the trigger on the stack. Serra's Sanctum. Right, we're going to be playing a pretty similar game to one you've already seen today. But we don't have to worry about that. We see how bad the damage is here. Arc of Cruelty is not what they want. They almost certainly take the Tamiyo here. So it's going to be Tamiyo, a fetch land, Thoughtseize, and maybe Wasteland. I would be down for trying to Wasteland if I was our opponent because my deck is pretty mana hungry. But we have an answer to Tamiyo, which is nice. They got Tamiyo, Thoughtseize, Force of Will, Wasteland. Yep, so they took what I would have taken in that pile. We don't fight over the Thundertrap Trainer. We don't crack our fetch land either. Because we want to know what we're fetching with it if our opponent Wastelands us. Whereas if we crack it now, for whatever reason, then they just have pick of the litter about what they want to hit. Alright, so now they've gone for the Hedge Maze. We know that like a Trop is a good place to be. This Force of Will could be annoying, especially when combined with the Thoughtseize. Ground Seal. Well, we did find the Ground Seal. This wasn't when we wanted to. Let's go and get a Tropical Island here. Let's get the Ground Seal down. This will stop the Tamiyo from getting anything back from the graveyard as well. So maybe this eats a Force. It didn't eat a Force, okay. But it stops the scariest thing our opponent's deck can do. And now we have some protection against what our opponent's up to. Like they can't take us off of removal because our hand is just basically the same card 4 times. Now they do have a Wasteland, which can take us off of the binding, so they might just Wasteland us, take one of the plows, and then they can Force of Will to protect the Tamiyo, and that's a pretty good sequence of plays there. But the Serra Sanctum can give us some mana to help with the binding though. So that's probably not going to work quite the way they want. Alright. What would you like to take here, opponent? But we get a nice burst of mana off of this Leyline Binding as well. As you can see today, this is the third time we played against Blue-Black Reanimator, and each list has been slightly different. Like we saw Kaito out of the last one, and this one we're seeing the Thunderstrap Trainer. Basically, everyone knows this is the best deck in the format and the best thing to be doing, and people are just trying to find ways of tweaking it for like the mirror and how to make it better in various situations. I don't think we want to be efficient here. That plays into days. We don't need to do that. Let's crack this fetch land. Let's go for... I think it's a Savannah. It makes it harder for them to wasteland us in an efficient manner. So let's just plow the Tamiyo. Would I rather have the Serra Sanctum or the Volcanic Island wastelanded? Interesting. Kind of similar either way, isn't it? If you get wasted here. Sanctum's worth 2 mana right now. It can be worth 3 mana. Alright, I'm going to... this cast, an actual cast one. I'm going to play out the Sanctum. And I think I'm just going to put this Yorion into hand. Because we're going to get wastelanded here, so that we're not going to have 3 mana for what we want anyway. And this way, if our opponent wants to wasteland our open mana source, it means that we get to keep our land that produces more than 1 mana. So our total amount of mana ends up being fine, and it gets easier to get to Yorion. Okay, so I'm just getting rid of this because they don't want us to Yorion and blink these. So we still have the interaction that we would have had up. Not bad. A Brainstorm. Pretty good way to crack off a turn. Put it to Delta. So they don't have any attractors left in their deck because we exiled it. So they just have an Archon of Cruelty, which we can beat with a Source of Plowshares pretty easily. Now, this Force of Will is going to target our Yorion, and that's going to be annoying. So we kind of just want to cool it for a little bit. A Dress Down. Then we just play out the Volcanic here and just chill out. We've got a Dress Down for something really spooky. We can always just cycle it if we have to. They're going to have to get through some hoops to even get an Archon into play because we have the Ground Seal. But they could play like Bowmasters and we can dress that down so they don't get the body or the ping. That's pretty good. So we're into that phase of the game where we're staring at each other. Now, they are cracking for 1 point of damage, but we can afford to take 1 point of damage for quite a few turns. A Ponder. Okay, I'm interested in Ponder. We'll use our Volcanic Island because that's the least important land for us, really. Because we are a Bant deck with a little bit of splashing. I like the Abundant Growth. I like Solitude. I like all of these cards. We haven't played a land yet, so we'll go like this. Which land do I care about getting wasted least? I guess we're going to Abundant Growth on this Savannah. That gets us a card deeper. This now taps for loads of mana. Do you want our opponent to Force of Will here? So this is 3 mana for 5. So we could get hit by a Daze here. I don't think we need to get hit by a Daze. I think we just pass it over. We can flash in a Leyline Binding if we need to, and we have the Solitude on top, which is pretty good. It's just going to be bouncing our Ground Seal. Okay. So, Animate Dead is something we can play around here. There is an Entomb. It's only going to be an Archon, though, which, you know, is a big guy, but we don't care about it that much. A Wasteland here could be kind of irritating. We've already gone through 2, though. Because the Wasteland would mean that we don't necessarily have all the mana we want. Okay, so first things first, we're going to play Dress Down, which will give us a 3rd enchantment for our Serra Sanctum as well. Now, we know they have a Force of Will, but they have to use it on something. Alright, they're using it on the Dress Down. Pitching in another Force of Will. Okay, so they're going to get their Archon of Cruelty back in. I'm going to tap this for some mana, and I'm going to Swords to Plowshares this Archon of Cruelty. 2 cards left in hand. One of them is Animate Dead, so we know that there's not going to be anything we have to worry about there. Do we care about this Ground Seal at this point? I don't think we do. We've gotten rid of their graveyard plan now. Like, they can reanimate medium guys. But that's not going to be good enough, right? They've got to go into, like, Solitude, and then it gets blinked with the Yorion, and that's just horrible for our opponent. So I think we are fine here. I guess they might not have this Animate Dead still, right? Because there has been a Brainstorm in the not too distant past. Okay, so that is a Murktide Regent. do want our opponent to be able to interact. Not particularly. I think we're just going to play this out now. So we get a free card off the Beanstalk. Beautiful. Another Sanctum if we want it. I don't think we do want it. So we get rid of this Murktide. Now we have the biggest thing in play. Next turn we can Yorion and blink this. By exiling their creatures, it makes their reanimate just on like the fairer creatures really bad as well. Now they can reanimate our Solitude. They would like to Thoughtseize us. Okay. Well, we have two cards that both trigger Beanstalk. I think you have to take the Yorion here. They agreed. They could reanimate this Yorion and then blink their Thundertrap Trainer if they do still have this Animate dead. That's a pretty good play for our opponents. We then clap back with a Leyline Binding on the Yorion, because if the Yorion comes back, it comes back under our control. Okay, so do have the Animate dead. So the plan is now we Binding, get rid of the Yorion, and then it forgets that it was owned by them. It just sees this as an object that we have, that we own, so we get it back if our Binding leaves. Now, our Binding isn't going to leave, is it? They blinked the Animate dead. So what's going to happen is the Animate dead's going to come back in their end step, and they're going to get another trigger with their Yorion. So now they're going to get back the Yorion, I think. They could get back the Solitude here. So they're going back the Yorion, which can then flicker the Thundertrap Trainer again. And just have this little engine going, but we're going to try and break this up now with this Leyline Binding that they know we have. If they find the counter magic that works here, so they got one card in hand, if that card is blue or a Force of Will, and they find the other half, then they can stop what we're up to in terms of dealing with this Yorion. So we're going to need to find an answer. Alright, they're just blinking out the Animate dead again. I guess we can just Leyline Binding the Animate dead as well. A Thoughtseize. Okay. So we get to crack in for a little bit of damage here. Have we had a Hedge Maze Wasteland this game? I don't believe... Oh no, there it is. Yeah, it's already in the bin. So Misty Rainforest doesn't actually do very much. Okay, so when the Animate dead comes back in, we will hit this Animate dead now, so nothing happens with it. Get a card off the Beanstalk. Our opponent can't have Force of Will because we know one of the cards in their hand is a Thoughtseize. We'll take out this Animate dead so it never gets to do anything. Really annoying drawing this Lorien Revealed. So we can just Thoughtseize it. How many islands have we got? 1, 2, 3. So we can just Meticulous Archive and put this Lorien Revealed on top. And that might be game. That's a lot of cards. Okay, they found a Force. So they're going to Thoughtseize us here. They might not, but they've got loads of life. Alright, let's cycle this. I will just get... Tundra here is fine. Just make sure we have lots of our removal colours. So we get a free shock, but that is a card that I was kind of hoping to cast. A Ponder. So yeah, I think we just put the Lorien Revealed on top of our library with this Misty Rainforest. Untap. Draw 1 off the Beanstalk. Draw 3 if this resolves. If it doesn't resolve, then we get Force of Will out of our opponent's hand. And then we traded pretty well there. Reanimate on our Solitude. Sure. So we're going to lose our Solitude. That's fine. We gain some life. Do we need to crack this fetch land for any reason? Yes. We need to go and get the Mystic Sanctuary that I was just talking about. We have 3 islands. Yes. Let's put this Lorien Revealed on top. They do still have a Brazen Borrower that we're going to have to handle at some point. Alright. Let's play out this. I don't even know what we play out here. I think we just cast this Lorien Revealed first. And then we can choose what land depending on what we draw. So we guaranteed 1 draw here. And our opponent either discards 2 cards or we draw 3 cards. Alright, they are Force Pitching Days. We still get a card here. Now, it might not be a card that does anything, like a Taiga, for example. And we're now kind of at the mercy of our opponent. We need to find something. We have Supreme Verdicts that are good, though. We have Uro, which is excellent here. Just gets us out of the hole we're in. We have more Solitudes. Plows are fine. A Phelia can blink this Solitude and it comes back under our control. But they're going to have 7 damage next turn. So we need to try not to crack any fetch lands. And now they are reanimating our Yorion. They should not blink the Solitude here. I hope they do, though. That makes our life a lot easier. They did not. Okay. So they get the Thundertrap Trainer back. This would be a great time to draw a Supreme Verdict. The Thundertrap Trainer has done probably more work than it's ever done for our opponent, I would imagine. Oh, do they not hit anything? Huh. Okay. The One Ring. That's a pretty strong Magic the Gathering card, isn't it? Let's cast the One Ring. You have no cards in hand, opponent, so we just get this. Now our life total has looked better. It's seen better days. Leyline Binding. Okay. That can draw us a card right now if we wanted to. I'll pay white and this. We'll draw a card off the Beanstalk. Okay, I think we might... Okay, it's a land. Okay, we're getting close to being over the hump here. We'll get rid of this Yorion. I can't reanimate it then. I will play out this Underground Sea. And I will pass the turn. We don't take any damage this turn. Then we get to draw some cards off the One Ring. And hopefully amongst those we'll find some more draw effects and some interaction for our opponent's board. We do need to be aware of this Brazen Borrower. We could also just chain One Rings here, that's fine too. Our opponent can't hard cast Force of Will. Alright, Solitude is brilliant. Force of Will certainly doesn't hurt. Do I want to just get another One Ring going? I think so. We don't have to draw from it. There's Tundra. I will pass, and I will Solitude their Brazen Borrower, because that creature has evasion, so it's a little bit more annoying. We can just tussle on the ground with our Solitude. They didn't play the Borrower out. That's fascinating. If they don't play the Borrower out here, or they don't do anything in this turn that requires our Solitude, then we can just fire in the Solitude, end step, exile our own Solitude that our opponent controls, and then we can just start bashing with our guy and gaining some life back. 4 mana over there, so no hard cast Force of Will. Should just be a-okay to get this going. White, white, and then some other mana. Draw a card with a Beanstalk. Lorien Revealed, very good here. Alright, our opponent's scooping it up. They see the writing on the wall. They have less time on their clock than we do, which is somewhat miraculous. So we know what the deal is here. So we want Ground Seal, we want Carpet Flowers, we want 2 Pyroblasts. We shave a Forth Eorlingas, 2 Phelia, and these Abundant Growths become the carpets. Because you don't want to put an Abundant Growth on a non-basic and then get it wastelanded. Whereas this is like, oh, you got wastelands? Well, cool. We saw a little bit more in blue spells. Does that mean we're more interested in a Pyroblast here? We could maybe swap a One Ring for a Pyroblast, just have more answers. But I think answers isn't really the problem here. We got loads of those. We need to make sure our mana's stable. We need to make sure that we're drawing enough answers. So I think the One Ring stays. Play the broken card. Okay, we cover the graveyard. We kind of have removal for a guy. I think this is fine. Like, our opponent is unlikely to just send it, but if they just have like Thoughtseize and then see they can send it, then that can get us. But they might have boarded out a bunch of their graveyard stuff. They saw that we had main deck Ground Seal, so they must conclude that we're really prepared for the graveyard. A Brainstorm allows us to hide our hand. That's really important. I think I'm just going to play out this Snow-Covered Island. If our opponent tries to Thoughtseize us, we can hide the Ground Seal, because if they Thoughtseize us this turn, they can't combo this turn. Unless they're playing Lotus Petals, which we haven't seen from them. Okay, just a Brainstorm, so we should be relatively safe for a turn cycle. Will our Ground Seal resolve? Who knows? But I think we do have to play it in today's because we don't have anything else going on. We could Brainstorm at end step regardless. Did our opponent miss on land? They did miss on land. That means they've got like a bunch of spells though. I don't think we're going to Brainstorm here. I think we're just going to untap, deploy our Ground Seal. I'll be surprised if they didn't have interaction for this. But if they daze this, it means they don't get to combo next turn, and then we get more time to find stuff. Because they need 2 mana to do the combo. So we can try and Brainstorm and ponder our way to something else while just filling out our lands, which is really important. Underground Sea, it's back again. It's casting a Thoughtseize. Sure. We have 2 cantrips, so redundancy. We've got another land there with the Lorien Revealed. We have 1 removal spell and 1 like actual full-on draw effect. Like, I'm not really counting Lorien Revealed as a draw spell because it takes a little bit more to get out of there. Okay, they took the Brainstorm. They want to keep the information in our hand the same. They don't want us to be able to refresh the information entirely. Let's play this land out, I think. And then we will play Carpet of Flowers. How do you like that one, opponent? I suspect they don't like it very much, but they don't have a lot of lands, so Okay, now we get to cast our Ponder for free. Right, not for free, for the mana we put into the carpet, effectively. It feels like free, though. I like a Force of Will here. I like the Uro on top. I will go Flooded Strand, Uro, and then put this Force in my hand. So we have Force of Will, pitch Force of Will around Daze. An Entomb. I don't really want this to happen. This is also going to shuffle our opponent's library. Alright. And like I said, I think we're good against the fair plan. We shouldn't be losing to our opponent's fair plan. It's the unfair plan and the amount of cards that gets. We're not shuffling our library because we have the Euro on top that we really want to cast here. Alright, we have this. Say yes. Let's get blue mana. We could just cast the One Ring, but that's into a Daze. I don't want to play into a Daze if I can avoid it. The card on top of our library is a land. I'm happy to draw that. So we do this. We get the Flooded Strand. We put it in off the Euro. And then next turn, we can Uro because this is 5 cards in our graveyard with this fetch land. Or 6 cards. We can have 2 fetch lands. We have 2 Surveil triggers coming our way as well. So our opponents should be drawing fresh cards this turn after their Brainstorm. Or was that? No. The Brainstorm was before then. So they didn't need to shuffle on that last turn, actually. A Tamiyo. Sure. You got a Brainstorm to go with it. And all of a sudden we're feeling like we're in trouble. Okay, they played an extra land, which is always great for us. Let's just go and get our Surveil lands here. Hedge Maze, please. Let's see if we want to keep this on top or not. Nope. Right, so let's get the other one. I could get Meticulous Archive, but I don't really want to. Not Meticulous Archive. The Mystic Sanctuary is a thing we could have lined up this turn. Supreme Verdict. It's a white card. It pitches to Solitude. I'll take that. We'll get some green mana off this Carpet Flowers. Go blue, blue here. Bring back Uro. We'll get rid of the stuff that we're not interacting with very much. We left a Ponder in there. That's the thing we're most likely to get back. No, we don't have any lands here. Let's go for a Ponder. Leyline Binding is good. We haven't played a land yet. So I think I'm going to sandwich this Leyline Binding. So it can't be Thoughtseize out of our hand. Alright. We are very far ahead. Entomb is obviously a pretty potent Magic the Gathering card. There's an Archon of Cruelty. Not the one we care about most, to be honest. So if we Solitude this Archon of Cruelty, then we end up with like no cards in hand. That's a Murktide Regent. Okay. We've got a Leyline Binding coming along. I think we're just going to play the One Ring. Really feels like the wrong thing to do. Get some white mana is fine. Let's cast this. Got Force of Will over there. They have a Force of Negation pitching and a Traxer. Okay. How do I feel about this board state? We can afford to take 8 for 1 turn. But they're going to reanimate the Archon, which is going to be awkward. What do we get with this if we want to turn our Leyline Binding on? If we want to make our Leyline Binding cost 3 mana, we need a red source. So we get a Volk here. I don't think we want anything from our graveyard. Let's get a Volk for now. Oh, I've tapped one too many lands here, I think. A Force of Negation, pitching Force of Will. Okay, so I have no cards in hand. So we can just exile this Murktide. When did they Ponder and do they leave it on top? That was our Ponder, wasn't it? They cast Entomb, they cast Murktide Regent. Okay, so they are drawing blind here, right? Okay, so I think we are getting rid of their Murktide, just starting to send with the Euro here. They draw the reanimation spell immediately. It's not good. It is not a good one for us. But if we get one more turn, then we're fine, because we have this removal spell. We can kill this with a trigger on the stack, and then Euro can come back. A Ponder. So they could Ponder into good old-fashioned reanimate. They shuffled off that Ponder. That's what we want to see, and they're just giving it up. Alright, we got the match. 3 blue reanimated decks. One of them, our opponent made a mistake that cost them the entire game because they just didn't check their life totals. So we're counting as a win, but look at it a little bit squinty-eyed. So we have 4 rounds done, and we are 4-0. We've only dropped 1 game so far. So let's play the final round and see if we can get that trophy. Alright, we're in Trophy Town, hopefully. Abundant Growth and then Brainstorm trying to fix our hand. I can live with that one. I think I'm going to get a basic Forest and then cast the Abundant Growth with the Forest. It is awkward for our Brainstorm if we use our fetch that way, but having a coloured source that is always going to work is really clutch, I think, here. Like, if we... I guess, how important is this Brainstorm, I suppose, is the actual question, right? We could just go Tropical Island Abundant Growth. If we get Wastelanded, then we lose quite a lot of stuff, really. We lose the Abundant Growth, which triggers our Serra Sanctum. Yeah, I think we do just get the basic Forest here. It's not exciting, but it is where we are. Right, so we have the Manner of Colour. We have another draw engine. Excellent. Or we have our draw engine. We can also reset the counters with Yorion at some point. Oh, we're back to Eldrazi again. I don't hate this matchup for us. Okay, so I think we Brainstorm with the intention of Meticulous Archiving one of the cards we don't want away. Okay, we don't need to do that now. We can just do this. So we're going to put back these 2 lands, I think. And we'll play out this... I think we'll go and get Tundra here, because we need white mana for removal at some point. I guess we have the Snow-Covered Forest. No, we'll just get the Tundra still. We might want to cast multiple white spells. Let's cast this Ponder, see if we can set up top of our library with some removal spells. These are not removal spells. Any order. Okay. At least our opponent didn't make a turn 1 play. That's huge for us. The Eldrazi deck doesn't always make turn 1 plays. Alright. Cavern of Souls. Are we on Fleshraker or are we on... Okay, we're on Line Breaker, so we can take 4 this turn. Yep. We're going to need to find an answer to this one. I don't think we want to introduce the Monarch into this game either. A Supreme Verdict. That's not nothing. Let's Brainstorm. Okay. Got some removals we can sort of tread water with. I'm going to... What am I going to hide on top of my library, though? Next turn is... No, we probably just have to kill this, don't we? Which means next turn is probably the One Ring, and the turn after is Supreme Verdict. So if we hide the Verdict, then the One Ring. And then we can play out this Tropical Island. And then we can pitch Forth Eorlingas to the Solitude to kill this Line Breaker. So if they play a creature first, we wait for them to put the Line Breaker stuff. And if they play a creature, we just want to kill this, right? It the hell's the end. Okay. So let's just get rid of this Line Breaker right now. If we wait till the beginning of combat, then something gets haste and that gets awkward for us. We'll just clean up this creature. Hopefully buy a couple of turns with the One Ring. And then sweep away everything with a Supreme Verdict. Line Breaker. You got another one? Ouch. Yeah, that's... Okay. I guess we're going to take 6 here. That's pretty good. Okay, Serra's Sanctum is probably the card here, isn't it? Yeah, sure. Let's make the One Ring. We know the card on top of our library is Supreme Verdict. Are we in a situation where we can draw cards with a One Ring? I don't know. The life loss on it is kind of scary. I enjoy the fog. I enjoy the fog a lot here. They take that out, that's fine. We can still Supreme Verdict next turn. Please play to the board. Let's get some guys. I thought not Seer. Okay. This can't target us because of the One Ring. But we still draw a card when it dies. What are you doing with the 1 mana you have left over? Please play like some other guy. I don't think we tap the One Ring here. Maybe that's cowardly. But we have our next turn sorted anyway. I think we play out the Sanctum again. So we got blue here. This gives us white. This gives us white. This also gives us white. So sweep these guys. We draw a card. Our opponent's got 2 cards in hand. We have the One Ring, but I am very hesitant to activate it. We can Yorion Blink it at some point, but we kind of need to make sure that we can get to that stage. Hopefully they don't have any more Line Breakers or Reality Smashers. Are they not doing anything here? Okay. Swords to Plowshares. Okay, I'm feeling more comfortable now. So we play this out. I think we go 1, 2... do we need multiple spells this turn? I'm going to put Yorion into my hand. This means that next turn we can get a card off the One Ring and then blink it. So we take 1 damage from the One Ring, but then we draw 2 more cards. So we get 3 cards for 1 damage, and then we blink it. That seems really strong. And we don't have to choose if we're blinking it or not just yet. So this is going to be a K command. It's pretty good, but I can kind of live with that. They're going to have a lot of mana, so they might be able to deploy 2 threats, which is going to punish us for the Yorion play. But we're just trying to get up on cards, I think, here. And if we can get a body in play that can block most of their guys, that's going to be pretty clutch too. I'll drive to Temple, 3 cards in hand, a boatload of mana in hand as well. A Line Breaker, your friend and mine. Right, let's source the Plowshares, that Line Breaker. Don't want that. It would have got very big with all these spawn tokens around. So they've only got 1 more Line Breaker in their deck. Are we taking any damage this turn? We are not. Okay, we can go and get a Surveil land, or do we want to get something that makes our things cheaper? Probably want to get something that makes our bindings cheaper at this point. So we're going to take 1 card now. Take 1 damage off of this. Then we get 2 cards. And then we get to... Playing the Abundant Growth is effectively free here. So we just put this on here is fine. Because the Serra Sanctum taps for 2 when we have the Abundant Growth down. I'm kind of reluctant to play out a fetch land with our life total. I think I'm going to play out the Boseiju, even though that can sometimes backfire. So we don't want to cast that. I want to cast this Yorion. So we've got 2 mana here, 3, 4, 5. And then this will target this, this, and this. I think to save the life, I'm going to enchant my Flooded Strand here with one of these Abundant Growths. The One Ring won't give us protection because we didn't cast it. You only get the trigger on enters when you've cast it. A Kozilek's Command. There's enough to kill the Yorion. What are they doing? They are just making guys here. Maybe we're supposed to Brainstorm and try and Force of Will that. But we are a Yorion deck, so finding a Force of Will is sometimes a little sketchy, and that 1 life could be pretty huge. They still only get to draw 1 card off of it. Okay, so this attaches here. This attaches here. We draw some cards. Forth Eorlingas. That is interesting. Can fire him with a bunch of friends. Yeah, this is a really close game. They can start shooting for stuff with Ivugin because they've got all these spawns. Creatures without haste, please. That's what I would like to see here. A Devourer of Destiny. So that can exile our Yorion. That's fine. If you want to get Meticulous Archive... Not Meticulous Archive, the other one. Why do you keep having these line breakers? Why are you doing this to me? I could try and draw a Swords to Plowshares. But that gets very sketchy. If we don't draw the Swords to Plowshares, are we dead? Yes, because they give this haste. Or anything with haste will kill us. Oh, jeez. Okay, so we put a bird encounter on this. Phelia. Okay, and now we have to Brainstorm looking for Solitude. We didn't find any of those things and our opponent kills us. Yep. Oh, tight. A very tight game, that one. We don't really have anything for this matchup. Last time we just brought in the Force of Vigors over the Ground Seals, is all we did. I think that is a fine way to play this one. The red Eldrazi is actually colourless, so the Hydroblast doesn't work. Before anyone mentions in the comments. It's always the 4th Eldrazi Linebreaker that gets you, isn't it? Okay, I'll keep this one. We go Ponder into Beanstalk. So we have our 3 colours here. I guess if our opponent wants to wasteland our Flooded Strand, we don't care. Do we care that much if they do that? Like if they want to wasteland a Tundra, just to make sure that we have white mana that works. They're slowing themselves down to do that. We're already getting a Ponder off. Yeah, I think we get the Tundra on turn 1 here. Let's fire it in. I like the land, but I don't like anything else here. We just need removal spells. I think this is in any order. Now let it be known, if they just wasteland us on turn 1, then we are in trouble. Let's see what they exile with this Devourer of Destiny. But if they wasteland, they're not making threats for a few turns. We can still draw out of it. Okay, they don't want lands. Don't wasteland me. Lotus Petal. Okay, so more likely to just play a terrifying threat that kills us here. So this is a Line Breaker maybe? A Chalice. Can we afford to let Chalice stick around? I don't think we can. Although, if we do let it stick around, then we get a card draw off of this Force of Will next turn. But we don't know if we're going to be able to Force of Will anything this game. I think we let the Chalice go. I think our opponent knows we have a Force now. Another Force. Okay. Let's get this Beanstalk in. So now our Forces can trip, provided we get to use them. If we had 1-drops in hand, I would obviously... Like, if we had a Plow, I would probably Force of Will this. We don't have a Plow in hand right now. And if we can sort of curb their aggression with our Force of Wills, alright, not a Cavern of Souls, excellent, then eventually the One Ring should take the game over. But spending a bunch of life into One Ring is very precarious in this matchup. They would like to exile this. Would I like to turn this Force of Will into another card? Do I care about Wastegate Battlemage enough? We've already got their Lotus Petal off for this thing which replaced itself. I think we just hold on to these. I think if they had a Cavern of Souls, they would have played it this turn. Alright, Deck, we're going to need something here. These Serra Sanctums aren't really the one here. We might be in a situation where we have to end of turn dress down, untap Serra Sanctum, tapping for mana to get the One Ring in. Because if we do it in our opponent's end step, then the dress down will stick around on our turn. Another Temple. So we correctly concluded they didn't have a Cavern, so they would have just done this uncounterably. I don't like taking any damage, but 2 damage is a fine amount. So I think we go and get a Surveil land here. Probably for our removal colour. Just to make sure that we're not sleeping on that. I don't hate a Ponder. Actually, I do hate a Ponder. They have a Chalice. Alright, I do hate the Ponder. And then we will, still in the end step. This is kind of an annoying card for us to get rid of, but we need to make our lands actually tap for mana. Because this can stop Flesh Rakers and all sorts. Beanstalk is pretty good. So, if we play Beanstalk, then our Serra Sanctum taps for 2, and then our Force of Wills are on, or we can just play this Savannah and deploy the One Ring. I think the One Ring is a good place for us to find ourselves. It's broken. It's a busted card. Does come at a cost. Okay, Uro. Excellent. That will offset the cost until we find a way of removing this One Ring. And the way that we're most likely to do it is have enough mana to play Yorion. We kind of want to do that in one turn so we don't get it sniped out of our hand with a Thought Not Seer? Not Thoughtseize. Wrong deck. Okay, we're playing something. Is this going to be a Chalice for 2? Do I care about Chalice for 2? It stops the Beanstalk in our hand. Is that part of our game plan? I think it is, isn't it? Okay, you got me. I'll keep our Beanstalks flush, and if we get too many of our cards shut out, then we can be in trouble. Source Plowshares, a bit awkward. Leyline Binding, Supreme Verdict. These cards are good news for us. So if we go tap like this for the Beanstalk, then we play the Serra Sanctum, cast the Uro, maybe find another land. So we're topped off our life total a little bit here. So this is the turn where they can smasher us and do some real damage. We know they've got the 6-drop guy. If they just play the 6-drop guy and then we get to Supreme Verdict, they're 2 guys away, that's fine. Unclaimed Territory. I don't think our opponent wants more lands at this stage of the game. Alright, 6 mana. I think it's 7 for the big boy. Okay, this is a Null Drifter, right? That is obviously not ideal for us. Oh no, it's just a Devourer. We're just putting blue mana in from the Unclaimed Territory. Okay, so we take 2 damage this turn, we sweep up their board, and then something else happens. Alright, I will draw some cards with this. Opponent's got 1 card left in hand. Do you want to Abundant Growth on the Serra Sanctum? It's probably best to Abundant Growth onto this snow-covered forest. what am I doing? This doesn't work because of the chalice. Oh, sorry, my whole brain's just frazzled. We need to fetch with this. Oh, that was such a horrible mistake. I'm losing it. I'm losing my mind. Okay, so this gets us Savannah. No, we already have Savannah. We need a blue source or a white source. So if we go and get this tropical island, that helps with casting Uro, and then we just immediately cast the Wrath. Alright, white, white, blue, 1. Yeah, playing that Abundant Growth was not great. Now, it doesn't matter a huge amount because our hand is kind of messed up with all these 1-drops anyway. But it's going to be our opponent's card in hand versus our Uro plus Leyline Binding. And I like ourselves favoured there. Okay, just some pretty medium guy. Ah, really? Why do they always have this line breaker? Oh, so this is going to crack him for 6. And then this is going to hit us for a bunch. Okay. So we die to this next turn. But we just play out the Uro first, right? And we probably play out this Underground Sea. Do we, or we put that in with the Uro? I guess it doesn't matter, does it? We can put it in here. Let's go for this. So this is green, blue, green. No, I think we want to use this green and this blue. And we'll bin off a bunch of stuff. This means we don't die to our One Ring. Fan of that. So we can deploy some of the stuff in our hand now because we have this Solitude. I would like to hardcast this Solitude, but I don't think we get to do that. I think Leyline Binding costs 2 as well. We'll discard an Abundant Growth that we can't cast. And Eldrazi Linebreaker. Is this a dress down turn? I think this is the dress down turn. So we go blue, blue, get the dress down in. So they won't be able to give anything haste. Are they attacking here? They are attacking. They're trying to force damage through. We get to clean off this line breaker. Next turn. Yeah, I think this is okay. We block here. And then we pitch cast. And do we pitch cast? Do we take 2? I think we have to pitch cast this, don't we? No, that doesn't work because we have our own dress down in. So we take 2 this turn. So we're going to go to 1 off of our One Ring here. Forth Eorlingas. So we want to cast this Leyline Binding. It costs 2 mana. This gets rid of the Chalice. Then we get to pay 1 mana to plow this. Then we attack with the Uro. Play out the Serra Sanctum, keep the untapped one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana at the moment. So that is enough to hardcast a Solitude. We could play the Abundant Growth and get the card draw on top of this. Our opponent has no cards in hand, so we know this will work. I think that makes sense then, doesn't it? Because it'll make our land tap for 2. So we put Abundant Growth on this Underground Sea. Taps for 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we have the Solitude, which can hopefully kill a creature and then ambush something else. We get to hardcast this. So we take out the It the Heralds the End. I don't believe our opponent has a way of dealing us any direct damage outside of Fleshraker, but Fleshraker is the only card in their hand if they have it. This is quite precarious. This makes taps a red mana, doesn't it? So you go red, white. Let's cast this. That should be enough. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I guess we tap for 1 more. And this is lethal damage. Alright. A tricky one, but we did manage to cross the line. Those line breakers, though. Okay, let's go into the final game of the league. Can we get the trophy? Nearly died to our own One Ring, but it was the thing that kind of helped us win that game. No removal spells. We do have the ability to stop some of their nonsense. We're quite susceptible to Wasteland. We can't even cast our Beanstalk. I think we mulligan this. Lots of removal spells, but no lands. We mulligan again. And this one is a fine keep. So, we would like the things that draw us cards. I think the One Ring can help us out of this spot. I don't know if we get to keep the... We could do something like this and hope to get through the first 2 turns. Alright, this is going to be Chalice. A Null Rod. So this is going to shut off the One Ring. That's fine. We just put one of those back. So this can go and get us a Hedge Maze if we wish. And then we're going to have Beanstalk with Force of Will. If our opponent plays something super scary, then we can obviously Force of Will it. So our One Rings are just going to be Fogs. Wasteland. Okay. A Glaring Fleshraker. It's pretty good. It is pretty good. I think we let it go. We need to undo our mulligan. I think we have to fetch. Yeah, we can't afford to fetch non-basics into what our opponent's showing us. So this has to be the Forest. We do get to use our Underground Sea once. Okay. Swords to Plowshares. Excellent. We need to not lose too much this turn. This is where they immediately play a Cavern. Just put us in the dirt. An Eldrazi Temple. Okay. Tap out for something really big and scary. 4 mana. A Thought Not Seer. So you get a guy here. You deal me some damage. Then I force this. Pitching the Force, we draw a card. A Taiga. Not ideal. Want another blue source. We get 1 use of this Ponder. Oh, sorry, 1 use of this Underground Sea. Although Underground Sea is kind of like the worst land in our deck for blue mana, I think. Right, let's get this Ponder going. We want removal spells and the like. Alright, they're wastelanding straight away. That's fine. I don't want these cards. I don't mind... Actually, I don't mind the Flooded Strand. We'd have to draw 2 of these cards. I don't want to draw 2 of these cards. I think this is in any order and shuffle. We need the heart of the cards to be kind to us. I think we plow this. It's just a little bit too threatening. Allows them to dump their hand next turn. Okay. We're in a bad spot. We need a land. But I don't think we could afford to draw 2 blanks. Or to draw to draw a land and a blank there. So, okay, a wasteland. Okay, if you have no play, then that's alright by me. A Leyline Binding. I would play this Mystic Sanctuary and see if they want to wasteland it. I suspect they will. They shouldn't wasteland it now. They should wait till they have their turn to see what they draw, if they need to use that mana another way. Because it makes no difference to wasteland it now or wasteland it in their turn, but in their turn they have more information. Okay, we're getting a little Kozilek's Command here. They're playing around Days, which we don't play, which is nice. Kozilek's Command is going to let them dump out a whole bunch of mana. Okay, they put all 3 on the bottom, so they don't have like a really stacked top of the deck. You should not wasteland there. You should take your turn and then wasteland. Because we're not using that mana for anything. If you want to play around a Daze, then you can wasteland it before you cast a spell. It's just a good habit to get into. 4 mana. Thought Not Seer. Yep, they're going to take our Leyline Binding. Oh dear. We need to draw another Leyline Binding or a Plow or something. Don't put Chalice on 1. Ugh. So this is more like how this matchup should go in my experience. Solitude. That is part way towards being useful. If we can get a white card, we can then take out this Thought Not Seer. Like, they're on low resources. If we can just find a removal spell. Oh, what am I doing? We had the Yorion. We had the Yorion right there. Oh my god, that's such a punt. Okay, I deserve to lose this round. Yikes. It's been a long league. Long league. My brain is tired, and we made a horrible punt. Good. Are they just going to play another one? They're going to smash at us. This is the K command. What is up? The Devourer of Destiny, getting rid of our Beanstalk. So we could have got a card draw off of our Solitude here. We probably now need to Solitude the Devourer. Oh, that's such a mess. Oh, I'm so annoyed with myself. Flooded Strand is useful. Gives us the ability to Brainstorm. Okay, I think Well, we don't get the ability to brainstorm, do we? Because the chalice. Guess we just get our... How many wastelands have we gone through? 2. I think we still have to just keep the lantern, yeah. So we need to put this in our hand. Oh, I'm so annoyed with myself. I don't think there's any reason to do it now. So we could have hit the Thought-Knocker last turn and drawn a card, but then we'd be facing down the Devourer. It's all terrible. Right, so they gain 6, which certainly helps them with their double Ancient Tomb hand. Means cheesing them with like a Forth Eorlingas becomes more difficult. I think the Forth Eorlingas is going to be back on blocks at this stage. I guess we could attack with 1, block with 1. I guess not. Okay, a Flesh Raker. How bad is it going to be? We can't Wrath. We don't have the lands for it. We can go and get a Surveil Land. We should have got a Surveil Land with the previous turn. We are just dead on board. GG's opponent. I don't think we can make anything happen here. If we'd have hit this Thought-Knocker, we would have got to see 1 more card. So what would the extra card have been? Abundant Growth. Yeah. I don't think the misplay cost us the game, but it might have done. So what we could have done differently this game is we could have obviously got the Yorion and killed their guy, draw an extra card, so we'd have an extra card in the bank. Then we could Surveil Land and maybe try and find something. But yeah, we just didn't get there. So a 4-1, failing at the final hurdle. Let's talk about the deck. So the deck felt pretty sweet, as you can imagine. It felt like we had some pretty good game into Blue Black Reanimator, but if they had like a quicker hand, like if they have Duress, turn 2, send it, we're losing those games most of the time, I think. But any game where we get a few turns into the game starts favouring us, I think. So that's kind of interesting. Our mana base is very susceptible to disruption, which is an axis that some of our opponents did attack us. Some like the Eldrazi's were wastelanding us. One of the Reanimator players had some wastelands going on as well. So that is definitely something that can hurt this deck. And as you saw, the Eldrazi matchup, we got pretty lucky the first time we played against Eldrazi because they had hands that didn't do anything, right? And our opponent boarded in like a bunch of Disruptor Flutes and didn't have any action. And then we just kind of carried on our merry way and sort of took over the game. Whereas our Eldrazi opponent in the last round just had sort of more pressure. And we did have to mulligan to 5 in the last one, so that was kind of annoying. But the deck just feels like if you just keep applying pressure to it, it can buckle. And Eldrazi is very good at doing that. Obviously, 4 line breakers is going to be hard for anyone to beat. But it's not like we don't have game in the matchup. We do have game into pretty much everything. I think some of the like Storm combo decks are going to absolutely fry us because we don't really have great interaction. We've got some Force of Wills and Negations aren't going to beat like the Storm decks. You need like permanents that can mess with stuff. And Ground Seal doesn't actually interact with their graveyards either. Like, because they're not targeting stuff in their graveyard, they're just playing cards from their graveyard, like we're doing with Ure. So there's definitely going to be some pretty horrible matchups this along the way. Now, Storm is quite niche. Eldrazi is still quite niche too. So I think it's in a reasonable spot. I can certainly see how a Challenger's won with this. We could have played a little bit tighter. I don't think we end up winning that last round, but we might have done. We definitely had a better play available to us. Maybe getting that extra card, getting that Surveil Land. All of a sudden we're sort of back in it, but we still have to deal with the Chalice. We had to deal more. We had to draw another removal spell still. But yeah, the deck looks sweet. The Phelia is okay. Like, it wasn't really a thing that I wanted to do very much with. Like, we had it one time and it drew us some cards, but it was something that we're quite happy to get rid of when we're sideboarding. The Serra's Sanctums, I think 3 might be too many. I think you want to cut down to 2 because they're not always doing very much. Sometimes they're just like a plains, especially if you're boarding out some Abundant Growth. Maybe we're not supposed to be boarding out the Abundant Growth. But in the matchups where we're boarding in the carpets, it did just feel better than Abundant Growth. So there is that. But yeah, I think this deck is pretty solid. I wouldn't be embarrassed to play as a high-level tournament. I think it is a thing that you should have on your radar for the metagame. It's very attackable, and it definitely has some weaknesses. But the late game here, playing these 3 draw engines, is just very, very strong. And, you know, Forth Eorlingas is quite the fireball at the end of the day. Alright, hope you enjoyed this one. Please remember to like and subscribe, and good.
If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, And lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.